What's up, gamers? Welcome to Battle Mallet Podcast, episode 36, Secondary Objectives, Adepticon, Nova, and more. The Battle Mallet Podcast is the journey of 2 to 4 busy gamers on their road to Nova, which is actually so far happening this year.
It's happening.
And we're registered. Playing games that they love and balancing life with those games. Tonight, I am joined by Jason Tabled Noob Murray.
Good evening, I guess. I always say good evening every time. But
we do.
Because we record in the evening. So
we do record in the evenings. It's okay. It's natural.
But I'm glad to be here because I am jazzed. So much stuff has happened. So much stuff to talk about.
There is a lot. Before we get into everything, though, anyone that is a regular listener will know that our titles have been episoded. Our titles have been episoded. Our episodes have been
like
titled
all 39 of them.
Hex Ed lately, and that is in reference to the fact that we are talking about Warhammer Underworlds. If you see an episode titled Secondary Objectives, that basically means that we're going to talk about whatever we want to. It's not going to be focused on any one particular game or event. And then as we create more focused episodes in the future, we will try to come up with clever subtitles for those as well. But this episode is going to be, the number of topics is pretty small. Whether it results in a short episode or not will remain to be seen. The first thing that we'll get into is Trace and I had the opportunity to sit down with Gerard, the Professor Padro, who went to Adepticon to play Warhammer Underworlds. And so we talked to him about his experience there and the choices he made as far as warband and strategy, and then some general conversation about the Warhammer Underworlds meta.
Can't wait to listen.
I know. I'm so sad that you couldn't make that, but
I know. But balancing lives in games, recorded the other night, and my son decided to fall into a dresser, like literally the hour before we were supposed to get on. Yeah. So had to go to the ER for the second time this month. So
yeah, so exciting.
So exciting. But he is okay. Like, just so everyone is aware, like he's absolutely fine. Just a real deep cut inside his ear. They didn't even stitch it because it's so deep. They're like, that would be bad. So I've never heard a doctor say that, but he's good. No. He's on the mend.
Awesome. He's a tough little bugger anyway. So
that he is.
Yeah. So after that, we will talk about our Nova schedules, amongst other things. I think that the second segment is going to be a lot of Jason and I choosing our secondary objectives to talk about. So, right. But I guess before we get into that, Jason, what have you been up to lately?
Nauticon. So, I mean, that's where we'll start because we've been up to a lot, really. I don't like the world seems to have opened up, and honestly, like I've gotten out to play quite a bit in the last few weeks / month, and then with everything that's been going on with the registration, it sparked a lot of play. But you and I were debating on going to Adepticon.
We were. We had a hair's breadth of dew on a fairy's wing of a prayer of a chance to go, and so
it was fairly close for me. Like I guess in the planning stage, COVID was still a factor, right?
Right.
So my wife was not particularly happy with me going to Adepticon with COVID, and the reason why is my daughter's birthday is that weekend. So I would be returning, and then my in-laws would be exposed if I was exposed. So that was the concern. But as I did mention a couple seconds ago, in a twist of fate, my daughter broke her arm rollerblading, and her follow-up appointment was on the day of the Grand Clash. Long story short, she is okay now, but it did require 2 trips to the ER and a surgery. So yeah, that dashed all hopes of Adepticon, but it led to one, my daughter is awesome and resilient and grew up just a little bit. But probably one of the best days of gaming that I've had in a very, very long time, because we had that Friday off. Yep. So we played games.
All day.
all day, to the point where Sarah said, "Wow, you guys were really intense and really focused." Yes, we were.
Yeah.
So, what did we play that day, Jared?
Yeah, so we did a best of 2 in Warhammer Underworlds. Not add any flavor commentary to that.
Why was it best of 2? I
Well,
thought you played best of 3.
Well, normally you do, but when Morgott comes in and crumps some vampires, it quickly devolves into a best of 2 match. So
Yeah, so in prep for Adepticon, I mean, first off, shout out to what we were gonna take to Adepticon. Like,
yes,
I was hard on rats, and I mean that with pun intended. Like, I thought they could do really well. Mine was a little bit different of deck than what Jimmy played, but it was more murder rats. Like, yes, I did have some hold stuff, but I really went into the illusions and weapons. And you were playing vampires, so
I was. Yep. Crimson
kudos
Court
to you.
Yep. I appreciate that. Yeah. I trying to figure out a hunger build that was a little, I think, counter to the full-on aggro meta that we're seeing. Could be a little bit more reactionary, and it worked pretty well against your very aggressive rats, but it did not work as well against very aggressive Auric brutes.
Yes. So on the Nauticon day, I was practicing with some other people in the community, and I played a lot of crushers, and I have not played a lot of crushers in real life. So I'm like, screw it. I'm gonna bring this deck. It is like all aggro all day. If I miss an attack, it is not a pretty sight for the deck. But my dice, woo, it was
they were good.
Smoking.
We're good. It was good, but it was fun. It was fun.
That's why it was the best of 2.
That's why it was the best of 2. But then what did we play after that?
Then we went into MCP.
Yeah, we did.
And that was a lot of fun. We hadn't played in a couple of months, and you got to bring out all your nice painted models.
My newly painted models, yeah. So I mean, we can go into some detail for anybody that's listening that plays. So I was running the X-Force affiliation. I had Cable and Colossus, Domino, X-23, and Honey Badger.
Colossus, you said Colossus, yeah.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Yep. And Colossus, Honey Badger, and X-23 were pretty fresh off the painting table.
They were.
Super excited to get them on the actual gaming table.
So, and I played my normal Avengers. So when I play MCP, I love to play Avengers because I love Captain America and Bucky or Winter Soldier. I had to throw Vision in there because I think we went up 1 power level because I would normally run Sam Captain America as well. And then Iron Man and War Machine. And, we don't play MCP a lot, but every single time we play, it is so much fun.
Oh my gosh. So yeah.
And it opened with a big play from you, like Cable just taking that freshly painted gas station and whipping it across the table.
Just hucking it, yeah. Yeah, Cable did some work in that opening activation. Shot Bucky. No, I don't think he shot him. Yeah,
no, you just threw that.
And then I threw the gas station at Bucky, and then I shot Cap, who was hiding behind the gas station.
Yep. So
it was pretty big.
It kind of put me on my back feet the entire game. Vision and Colossus just had a slugfest over on one objective, just slugging it out. You also had Domino. Did you mention Domino?
I did not. I did. I did mention Domino.
Okay. So you had Domino there in the middle.
Yeah.
And then, but who took out War Machine? Because like War Machine did absolutely nothing for me. He like ran up, grabbed an objective, and then got beat up. I don't even think I attacked with him.
No, I don't think you. I think it was X-23, man. She can do some work.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just to get a little crunchy, she has an innate reroll on her fighter card, and then when she's in X-Force, she gets another reroll on every attack. So it provides some strength to her for sure.
She did. But Iron Man did do some of the things, like got off a ricochet blast and whatnot. So we did. It was very, very close. We actually went to overtime.
We did. End of round 3, we were both at 22 points. And the game is supposed to end when you get to 16, but if there's a tie, you keep going. So on to OT we went.
We did, and then you stopped me and avenged your vampire loss.
I did.
It was a lot of fun. A lot of crits. Love those games with crits.
Yes.
And then we had a little bit of time, and we've been exploring this new game, at least new game for us.
Sure.
And we were very hesitant at first to get into this game, but they came out with some really killer models, and so we got in our second. Well, it's our third. We have yet to complete any game of it, but we got into our third game of Kill Team.
Yes.
And then we fought.
We did. And when it was time to end, I had 3 Eldari Corsairs left, and you had 3 Legionaries. Yep, Heretic Legionaries left, and that is not an even matchup for anyone that is not familiar with the game. That is tipped heavily in Jason's favor.
But we're still learning that game, and I think that the point is, and we can kind of tease it now. We will have an episode upcoming on how to play Kill Team, kind of like the basics of what it is. But we've played one full game without all the rules, so we left off like TAC Ops and
equipment,
and that was really fun, like very vanilla. But both of us had no idea what was doing.
Yeah.
Then we basically set up a game and played one turn with everything. And then this game, we were going to try to get it all in, but we just ran out of time because the setup and equipment and roster selection and TAC Ops it took too long for us. But I make the joke that we fought because we've been playing games like through COVID. It's been you and I playing a lot of games through the last 2.5 years. And I don't think we've had a disagreement since our last 40K game.
I don't and it wasn't really even a disagreement in this Kill Team game, but like we haven't had to stop playing to figure something out like that since we played 40K.
Like I legit during the game was like, I don't understand. Like I get that this is what it is. I believe what you're telling me, but I don't understand it. And we'll get more of that in our full Kill Team episode. But I mean, what are your thoughts? Like I'm intrigued enough with Kill Team to keep grinding away and trying to get a full game in when we have time. I kind of like it. It has crits. Yeah. It checks the box. It has crits.
Crits check. It's set in the 40K universe.
Yep.
Which we love. It does not require 40 models.
Yeah. How much did you bring? Like we had 3 games worth of stuff, and how many bags did you have with you?
Well, I didn't really even need the bag. I think I only brought the bag because my MCP binder, like I just have all of my MCP stuff in one binder, and it's just easier to. But I mean, if I hadn't brought that, I could have picked out my MCP fighter cards and all of my dice and stuff, and it would have been like three boxes worth of, like 3 standard board game size boxes worth of stuff.
It was like no stuff at all.
Yeah, I had like 1 miniature case. I had my Hero D box. I had my MCP box, which holds all of the terrain that I need for a table. And then I had my backpack, which had all the widgets. Like it had laser pointers and measuring devices and dice and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But that could have just been as easily been like a fanny pack. That's how much stuff is required. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. And to just put it in perspective for our listeners, when he says he brought the train for MCP, like I didn't supply any train for MCP. I had the mat. Like the mat on the table was the only thing that I provided for that. Yep. And then I provided the train for Kill Team. So it was just cool to travel light and be able to play 3 tabletop games. So
yeah, 3 different games. Yep. Yeah, and not carry army cases worth of figures around.
So, but I kind of cut you off. Your thoughts on Kill Team? Like,
yeah, no, I mean it's good. So yeah, I mean we talked. It has crits, checks that box. Set in the 40K universe, which is awesome. alternating activations, and that's something that we've talked about before in regards to games. It's one of the reasons that we like Marvel Crisis Protocol so much, is that it's more interactive than your standard I go, you go, which is what we see in the current 40K and Age of Sigmar. And I mean, regardless of the universe, God, the models are so good. Like I get that the Heretic Legionaries, the Chaos Space Marines, is literally just the Chaos Space Marine box plus an upgrade sprue. But those sculpts are modern and new, and then the upgrade sprues just add a ton of flavor.
Yeah.
And the same thing is true really for the Corsairs team. It really is a box of a unit. You could equip all 10 models with rifles. You could equip all 10 models with pistols and power weapons, or you can build out all of the unique characters. But with all of those options, you get these like really dynamic, just gorgeous sculpts, which I'm apparently a big fan of the Eldari sculpts, because that's what I've been painting lately.
That is what you've been painting.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So just to finish up my hobby progress of what we've been up to, really Kill Team has taken a lot of that space for me. I haven't painted anything. Ooh, shocker. But I've assembled 10 guardsmen, Kree guardsmen. I've assembled 20 novitiates. I've assembled 20 Tau Pathfinders, and I assembled 10 Chaos Space Marines. I haven't gotten to the orcs yet, but they're on the table, and I think that's because I didn't do the Corsairs yet. So plus a bunch of terrain, so we had the right terrain to play on that. Man, all the ding-dings.
All the Discord pop-ups.
So that's been my hobby progress. But so we mentioned paint twice now, Jared, and you've been a painting fool, and you mentioned Eldar. Something really cool happened that triggered this.
It did. So starting in February, I was working on the Yinkarn. I bought the Yinkarn, I think, about a year ago. I think that we were trying to revamp 40K. Was it 2 years ago?
It was 2 years, because it was right after the original Nova cancellation and the cabin trip.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I bought the Triumvirate of the Ennead, however that's pronounced, with some aspirations of playing Ynnari army, because I think the lore is cool, and part of that was sparked off because I bought the novels because I was itching for things to read to keep myself immersed in the 40K universe, and so I was reading those novels, and I bought the models, and I had assembled them 2 years ago, and then they were just sitting assembled on a shelf, not even primed, and I just got it in my head that I thought that the Eldritch Omens box was really cool, and there were whispers of us maybe getting back into 40K, and if that was the case, I was going to try out the new Eldari because of the whole release of models. So I told myself that I was not going to open Eldritch Omens until I finished my Triumvirate. So I painted the Incarn, and I liked it a lot, and then I painted the Visarch, and I posted a picture of the Visarch on Twitter, and I tagged Louise Sugden, who is the presenter for Warhammer TV Masterclass Tutorials, because she did an excellent tutorial on painting crystal blades, and I followed that tutorial to paint the crystal blade, and I achieved kind of a minor hobby goal that I didn't really know that I had until it happened, and my miniature was featured on the Warhammer Community Hobby Roundup.
Congratulations.
That was super cool to hear the Warhammer TV presenters talk about my model, and that was super cool. And then shortly after that, I finished up Yvrain, and the Warhammer Community Twitter account retweeted my picture, and it went semi-viral. I mean, viral as far as I'm concerned. As far as my Twitter account is concerned, it's it's nothing groundbreaking, but for for my Twitter feed to get more than 7 likes is pretty impressive. And I think last I checked, it's like over 120 or something. So
it's awesome.
It's really awesome, and it like has really like spurred me to just keep painting. And so like I've also painted a ton of Marvel Crisis Protocol, really since the new year, but a lot since I got my hands on all of the last release of mutant models. So
yeah, you've knocked through them pretty well. And I think the hobby, the Warhammer TV hobby shutout was kind of the icing on the cake, because you really pushed yourself on those models too. Like, you've been painting a lot of Marvel Crisis Protocol this year, and even a few Underworlds models, but you've been kind of doing like the just tabletop standard style of paint.
That's true.
And those 40K ones, you hand painted each gem, man.
I did.
Like, not a glaze or not the technical paint. You actually painted and highlighted them.
Yeah. Did the classic gem where you have your base color and then you put a darker tone across the top, and then 2 lighter colors on the bottom, and then a dot back on the top. And it looks like a reflective gemstone when you do that, and it's awesome. And the other thing that I did on all of those models that I have never done before is I did non-metallic metal for the gold, and that was a real stretch. But true shout out to the masterclass tutorials, the Citadel Color masterclass tutorials on Warhammer TV. I would say that it is worth the price of subscribing for a month or 2 just to watch those, to up your hobby game, because I have never glazed like I glazed to paint those swords. And it looks good. Like, it honestly just looks good. And I wish I could say that like it was all my technique, but like it was watching that video and doing it 3 times. I did it the first time on the Yinkarn, and it looked fine. Then I did it on the Visarch, and it looked pretty good. But the last one that I did on Yvraine is probably the smoothest. But it's a process that it takes you, realistically, 2 hours to paint one sword. So it is not a speedy process.
For you.
For me. Yeah, an expert could do it. Or so when I get around to painting the Void's Guard, if I do all of their power weapons in that style, I'll be able to assembly line it. So I may be able to paint 10 swords in 2 hours, but because it's glazing and you thin your paint so much, you really have to wait for each layer to be completely dry before you can add the next one. Otherwise it smears or pulls or leaves marks behind. So, but it was cool. Yeah, I've had a lot of fun painting.
Cool. I think the other thing too that I do want to mention for you in your hobby painting success, you changed something in your room, which I think is driving your ambition to paint.
That's true. No, it is true. And actually, I told my wife that I would say something about this the next time we recorded. So I'm glad that you brought it up. So balancing life and games, balancing life in general. For anyone that doesn't know, for the past 2 years, I've been working remotely from home, and my desk has been in the walk-in closet in our bonus room, because that was a space where I could get some quiet and be out of the way of the family. And we planned that when we only had 2 kids, when there was potential for the kids to be in the bonus room while I was working to watch TV or play a board game or whatever. And then the bonus room was going to be used by the family to do board game nights, movie nights, whatever. Then we had a 3rd child. And the baby sleeps upstairs because that's where all of the bedrooms are. And that means that the bonus room is not getting used for anything really at this point, except for me to maybe watch something on TV late at night. So we rearranged our upstairs. We moved the 2 kids that are sharing a room into the big bonus room. And then I got the room that was now open. So now I literally have an office. And so sitting behind me are 2 IKEA cabinets with LED lights where my models are on display. And I've been in this hobby for 22 years. And I think it's the first time any of my models have ever been on display. And it's pretty exciting because I can just spin my chair around and look at my LED lit models that I have painted. And it definitely drives the hobby. Like, not only can I see what I've done, but I also see empty space on my shelf and like, oh, I know what I can fill that with. Let me grab this model and start working on it.
Good. I'm happy that you're out of the Harry Potter closet into a full room, and more importantly, it is a big part of what you do to relax, and the fact that you can put it out there and share it. And I know, not to speak for Trace, but when Trace got his display cabinets, had kind of the same effect on him. Like, he's very proud to show them. And even though I don't paint, I love having my display cabinet, with the stuff that I've paid for. It's just cool, like you said, cool to look at it. And I'm glad that you're being able to enjoy it. And more importantly, I'm glad that you're able to put that impression onto your children every time they come into the room to see really cool painted models.
Yeah. They do. And they like the LED strips too, because they can change the colors. So they're always grabbing the remote, making the lights pink or orange or whatever.
That's cool. You also got some other games in, like, you want to talk about games played?
Yeah. So I recently got another game of Marvel Crisis Protocol in with Trace. And so we'll kind of tease it here. Prior to this game, whenever we played Marvel Crisis Protocol, we basically said, pick a threat level, build a thematic team. We'll come and play, and we'll just see what happens. So, but there's a full pre-game step to Marvel Crisis Protocol. And because, spoiler alerts, we've all signed up for Marvel Crisis Protocol at Nova in one form or another. We want to get that style of gaming in practice, and so we actually played a full game in. I ran X-Men this time, and because of the mission that we picked, I got to use all of my painted women, my ex-women. So it was Storm, Jean Grey, Magic, Domino, X-23, and Honey Badger against Trace's Criminal Syndicate, and it was a good game. Like, there was some back and forth, but it was a lot of fun. Even doing the pregame part, it honestly reminded me of the way that I feel about constructing a deck for Underworlds. That I'm making decisions before anything touches the table that will guide the way that I play the game beyond just what is on the fighter card. And it scratches that similar itch in a game that is more complex to play, in that there are measuring devices and there are range devices and non-discrete movement units, right? Underworlds is hex based, so if you move 3, you move 3 hexes. Well, this one it's not as clear cut, so it creates a different puzzle to solve. But I mean, it was a ton of fun, and we had a good time, and it just got some clutch plays on both sides. But yeah.
Good. I mean, to your point, I don't even think I've read the rule book on how to create a roster. Like, all I know about it, priority, because like priority plays a big part on like who picks the card or whatever. Right. Like, I know that, but only because I have to read on how priority works. Right. But I've never played with it. I've never put it into my thought of the game. So it is kind of intriguing to add that part to it. But I mean, another spoiler alert, guess what I'm going to bring to Nova if I end up by playing MCP?
Avengers.
Oh, there you go. So It doesn't matter. It's going to be Avengers all day. Yeah. So
yeah. I like it.
Well, good. And then, we've gotten in a number of games with Lunchspire as well. You tried out the Pirate. How did that go?
Yeah, Black Powder. That did not go well.
It did too.
It went really well for you.
It was a lot closer than what we thought it was going to be, because so we played. This was only last week Friday. I played the crushes into Black Powder, and it was, you just pull the deck randomly off our Discord, and I think I had a scything attack with Ard Skull that killed 3 fighters in a single attack.
You did.
It was amazing. I defended the first 6 single dice defense rolls that I had.
You did.
But then in the end, it was still a very close, a closer score
It was
than what
relatively
we thought.
close. Yeah.
It was like 16-12 or something like that.
Yeah. The difference was only 4, which is
Felt
pretty
like it was
close.
more.
Yeah, it felt like it was going to be. Yes.
I
don't want to
actually
talk about it anymore.
because for our listeners that don't know, I've been in position when we've played games where people have been like, they've gotten the advantage and be like, oh, do you want to stop? Do you want to quit? And so I have a hard time doing that, because when someone does that to me, it makes me feel like you're rubbing it in my face, that you're just stomping my face in.
Yeah.
But this game, after that roll, I looked at Jared, I was like, you want to end it? Like, that's how bad one-sided
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah, I mean, and I knew that I didn't think legitimately that after that there was going to be a way for me to win the game, even if you didn't score anything else and I scored everything else in my deck that I was eligible to score. But to your point, especially spoilers, we're playing in the Grand Clash at Nova. Like every activation that you can play is experience that will build. So how do you make the best out of this awful situation? And especially at something like a Grand Clash where glory differential may come into play.
Yeah.
If I concede and just stop scoring stuff and let you run up the score, but then we go to, we end up with a tie, or we go to game 3, that glory differential affects seeding the next round, which could make your next game easier, or my game easier or harder or whatever. So, I think in a fully competitive setting, it's worth continuing to play it out to stretch and work those decision-making muscles, but also to get in the habit of trying to close that glory difference. So,
yeah. And the other piece there too is your opponent may show more of their deck, right, for games 2 and games 3.
correct.
So,
yeah.
But anyway, this is not a full Underworlds podcast, so we'll just move on to the next note that I have. And we're still, like, I understand we're still in, like, what have we been up to?
So we've been up to a lot, though.
We've been up to a lot, and with Adepticon, there was a awesome GW preview. So
Yeah, there was.
I think we should just take a moment to talk about some of this stuff. First off, you did mention Warhammer TV. I'd like, because we have not, so this is just straight off the cuff. Did you watch the Hammer and Bolter Nurgle episode 1?
I did.
What was your thoughts on that one?
It didn't feel like as substantive as the other ones, but like there were parts of it that I appreciated because it showed how internally divisive the Chaos faction can be.
Yeah.
Because you have a Nurgle Chaos Space Marine sorcerer who's just like totally boning over essentially his bodyguards.
Yeah.
But it didn't, I don't know. It just didn't speak to me the same way. Like the Inquisitor one with the assassin, like that was just awesome, like action storytelling. And then I really liked the Adeptus Mechanicus one with the
Castellan robot.
The Castellan robot, and truly showing like how alien the mindset of a tech priest is with regards to like a baseline human. Like your worth is significantly less than that of my Castellan robot, so I don't care whether you live or die, as long as me and my robot can stay alive and we can find the thing that I'm looking for. Because the thing that I'm looking for, in my mind, is infinitely more valuable than any number of human lives. So, like that. I mean, yeah. It just, I mean, yeah. And it may be that I just don't, I don't identify with Nurgle or Chaos Space Marines or whatever, but I don't know. It just didn't speak to me the same way.
Oh, I'm right there with you. Like, it actually like I've liked them all except the Yarrick and the Orc one, which wasn't terrible. I just didn't care for it. But I have liked all of them. This one felt rushed. It felt like there was literally like a part of the story that just wasn't there.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't making, and maybe I need to watch it again because it was late at night and I was not fully awake at certain points. But when he's flying the ship against the Imperium, and then all of a sudden the Imperium just does what happens to them, I was like, how? It had to do something with space time, the warp, but I just didn't make the connection.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's that, and then the Exodite, I guess on this coming Wednesday, is going to have its third episode.
The third episode and the finale, I believe.
This is the finale.
So
I do like that one. The animation, that's really cool.
And visually, I think it looks pretty good. I think that there are some hiccups in the animation, but like,
don't care.
Yeah, suspension of disbelief has never been a problem for me. Like, I can thoroughly enjoy what others may call bad cinema, bad television, or whatever, which is totally fine. I get it. I understand looking at something through a critical lens, and whether it's worth your time or not, and whether it is fulfilling to your needs in your media consumption. I get it. I'm not going to fault anyone for that.
Oh, I am. I'm going to fault them all.
But I am more than happy to watch Blade Trinity.
That was on last night, and Ryan Reynolds is awesome.
He is freaking jacked in that movie too.
So yeah, he is. But that was like my first exposure to Ryan Reynolds' like sense of humor, and then after that I watched The Waiting. Anyway, but yeah, like, so, you know, that's a good point with the animation. Like that has always been what I've seen in the reviews that people get stuck up on. Is like, you know, they go from a 3D image to a 2D image, or there's a shutter or frame rate loss, and it's like it's not a AAA title. Like, it's not. But anyway,
we're not there yet.
But where we are is the preview section, and that is a great segue for what I thought was the best trailer ever.
Oh my gosh, that Heresy trailer! Oh my goodness! So we all watched it together. We were all in Discord on video with it running live. For whatever reason, Jason was like 2 seconds ahead of Trace and I, but like watching all of our reactions to that trailer was a lot of fun. Like, just the visuals, just Horus just stoically, like, stone-faced, just walking right, like,
yeah, the Titans, the orbital strike, the tanks shooting and the recoil on the tanks.
Yeah.
The multiple characters, the multiple power weapons. Like, this is the trailer to end all trailers. It was awesome. I am super excited to see what they do with the Horus Heresy line. I will say it was the most, like, I remember it was probably an hour after that trailer ended. I'm like, I just kept saying, I'm so disappointed. I am so disappointed because I thought it was epic. Like, that announcement trailer had so much stuff in it that I really thought they were announcing Epic to come back, and that'll be the game that I sell everything for to get into, is Epic. So, but trailer, really cool. Really looking forward to the Heresy game update. We've never played Heresy, but it's always been intriguing, and like we've already stated, anything that could get us back into that 40K style of narrative would be really cool. And the models, like the models that they've already previewed, the plastic models do look good, but when does GW model not look good?
I mean, that's fair. I'm going to counter you. We actually have played 30K. It's called 7th edition Warhammer 40K.
Yes, we have. Well, and it seems that so many people play Marines. Yeah, you got me there. Good job.
Yep.
Another epic preview was the announcement of Knights.
Yeah, those Chaos Knights are. I mean, those are awesome looking. Like, I want to buy the Chaos one just for that, like the dog skull head.
That's pretty cool.
Like, I want to like use that in like figure out a way to use it in my OCR army somehow. Like, it's cool. The War Dog or whatever he's called.
I just like the twist. Like, GW doesn't often get me, right? So like we're sitting there, we're watching it, and you think it's the Knight update, like which wouldn't be a huge surprise. Like, Knights need to be updated, right? And then all of a sudden the guy that's talking is like skewered to a Chaos Knight. It was so cool and such a they caught me off guard. So good job, GW, for keeping me on my toes. And the models look amazing.
Yeah. So there's a lot of character there that for me does not exist in the Loyalist Chaos Knight range. It just feels very drab visually for me for the Loyalist Chaos Knights, and so or Loyalist Chaos Knights, the Loyalist Knights. So to see like all of the cool character, like the chains arranged in the in the Mark of Corn and the giant tusks coming off of the helmet and stuff, it's pretty sweet.
It is really cool. And then I guess, well, before we get to the one that I'm excited to talk about,
sure.
Just what are your thoughts on Necromunda, the Ash Wastes? Like, just we've never played it. Now there's some vehicles in it. Like, does it intrigue you anymore to play it now?
I mean, so what is it? The Tabletop Inquirer, the like Warhammer, the Onion equivalent or whatever.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They had when they originally announced the Necromunda Ash Wastes at LVO.
Yeah, there was just a teaser trailer for it.
Just like a teaser trailer for it. They had like a headline that was like, LVO preview crowd secretly wishes they were the cool kids in the back of the room that are super stoked or whatever. Because like armies wax and wane, metas change and grow and shift, rules come and go, people come in and out of 40K. But I feel like the people that play Necromunda, like every time I've ever been like in a store where people are playing Necromunda, or I've gone to an event and there are people playing Necromunda, like I think Necromunda is the jet ski of miniatures games. Like I've never seen anybody unhappy playing Necromunda. And I think that there is a secret there that intrigues me, but I don't know if it's enough to start a new game.
Yeah, well, what we do know about Necromunda is it's intense. It's a lot of stat blocks. It's a lot of record keeping. It is a all immersive plus a lot of terrain.
Yeah,
I would argue with you that their Blood Bowl is like the one
maybe
game.
Blood Bowl. Maybe Blood Bowl is the jet ski of.
Yeah, I would say Blood Bowl is jet ski. Like Necromunda might be the Ford Ranger, right? Like everybody had a Ford Ranger at one time, right?
Fair. Okay. And loved it.
Loved it. Yeah. Oh, I remember my first truck. It was great.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair.
Yeah, and the pig in Blood Bowl reveal was kind of cool.
That's true.
I like it.
Does the ale pig, does it beat Dune Claw?
No, definitely not. I love Dune Claw.
I mean, I guess they could work together, and Dune Claw can crack the keg. You tap the keg.
There you go.
They're on equal footing.
That will be funny when the pig gets runner-up model of the year next year. We're gonna make that happen.
Yeah.
And then what is most relevant to you and I, they announced the next warband for Underworlds and the Exiled Dead.
Yeah.
So just what do you think?
I mean, it's cool. And I think one of the things that I really appreciate about Warhammer Underworlds is that it provides these glimpses into the Age of Sigmar universe without the design team, the rules team, the whole team having to come up with a full-fledged army for it. So
Yeah.
we kind of saw that first with the Kurnothi, the Wild Hunt, Skate's Wild Hunt. That there's some faction of elf, goat, deer hybrid running around in the Age of Sigmar that exists. That's part of, the 8 realms. But they got to introduce that without fully fleshing it out. And they get to kind of do the same thing, that there is a form of resurrection within the Age of Sigmar universe that does not inherently tap into the magic of Shaish. It is outside of Nagash's control. And I mean, for the lore nut in me, like, I just think that that's fascinating. And then on top of that, like, you've got this like Frankenstein's monster theme going on with these miniatures that I think it just looks cool. I think they look cool. I'm really excited to see how they play, because it looks like they've introduced a play style that is similar to, but not exactly like anything that we've seen before. The fact that the leader can make everybody else move is similar to the Sepulchral Guard, but it's not exactly the same.
Yeah, and I'm curious, like, I know that the card has been snipped and you can kind of read the right-hand side that has the powers listed where, like, we can make everyone move. But I need to see it fully, right? Like, there's definitely the end of it that's missing that, like, I don't know what else they can do. Like, what's the downfall of that? Like, is there a perk to it? I just think it's really cool. Like, it's a vampire necromancer. Like, I did not see that coming. And the models are a little underwhelming to me, to be honest. Except the leader model and whatever that weird thing is that's like got like a mask over, like, with hair and is like bent over, whatever that thing is, like almost like a ghoul looking thing.
Oh, the one that's doing the superhero landing?
Yeah, the superhero landing. Those two are really cool. I definitely like the halberd, like the zombie that was once a soldier.
Yeah.
But you are right, like the Frankenstein monster kind of pillars coming in and out of them.
Yeah.
Like arc walkers, I guess, because it says all the arc walkers are conductive fighters.
Yeah.
Interested to see that. But it's to go back to a 7 model warband. Like, we haven't seen that in forever.
No, I guess the Grimwatch was the last time we had 7 models, right?
Yeah, and then what is that, like 20 seasons ago now?
Yeah, I think so. Approximately.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting that. I mean, we don't have them, so like it's hard for me to keep them at front of mind. But like, I think I still had it in my head that there were 6 of them, but no, there are 7.
I mean, I'm counting like people on the picture. 7.
Yeah. No, there's 4 people with diodes on them, and then the leader, and then superhero landing, and zombie soldier. So yeah.
And the one card that they previewed was a spell. Yeah. So if cast, move, or attack, each friendly inspired conductive fire can make an action of the kind you pick.
Yeah.
And players cannot use reactions while the spell is being resolved. So, I mean, that could be, if they're all conductive, that's like 7 attacks, right? 7 moves. And granted, it's and then
if no reactions can be made, then you're not getting whatever the crushes card that lets you attack back when you're hit. You're not getting the Rippus card that lets you attack back when you're getting hit. You can't countercharge.
Well, you couldn't charge anyway because it's a move or attack on that.
Oh, it is a move or attack. Yeah. What's that? No, there's the other one, the companion.
The companion one.
Yeah,
I forget
that's
what it's
the one
called.
that's during an attack action. Yeah, you can't do any of those. Can't play a damage mitigation ploy. None of that.
We'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah.
But the skin wrap over the leader, which I'm assuming that's what it is. That's what it looks like, some sort of covering over his or her face, and then all the hands. Like, what is up with
what's
all
that
the
about?
hands?
Yeah, I don't know. It's creepy.
Well, good. Like, I'm super excited to add another warband to the mix, and see how it all plays out. And then the only other thing that I believe was on, and I clicked off the page that.
So there's the new Warhammer Age of Sigmar Season of War. So they're introducing seasons to Age of Sigmar, and now they're introducing what are they calling him? I don't know. Are they? I don't want to say the wrong. The Kron Spine Incarnate of Gur. So they're introducing beings of magic that are not endless spells, I guess, but like are representative of the realm for that season, I guess. So, but it's this cool like amber magic based creature thing, which is again, I mean, just knocking the sculpts out of the park.
So, like, let's pause there for seasons real quick because I'd love to get your opinion on this. So we've seen 40K's gone to 6-month seasons. We've already had that in Underworlds, where we've gone through seasons. Kill Team is definitely like, I don't know, I don't think they call them seasons, but each box that they release has a war zone that impacts the terrain. So it's kind of like you're playing in a certain season, like we would be for Underworlds. And now they're bringing that into AOS. Like, before I comment, your reaction to seasons in all the games.
Yeah, so I think it provides a way for the game to stay fresh and for certain army styles to come in and out of fashion, which can be good as a player because it means that you aren't always playing the same thing and playing against the same thing all the time. But I understand that when a business makes a decision, it is not going to make a decision that does not also benefit the business, even if it benefits its customers as well. Like just because it benefits the customers doesn't mean that it's also not designed to benefit the company and sell more models or sell more product or whatever the case is, right? Like, sure, automotive manufacturers are increasing the miles per gallon and creating electric vehicles because they can say that it has a positive impact on the environment or whatever. But it also means that they're breeding the market and there's more demand for these vehicles, so they'll be able to sell them more, whatever. I think the same thing can be said for seasons in any of the games. Is that it is a business. It is designed to make money. So there's part of that. But for me as a player, it also means that things will continue to stay fresh. I'm not ever going to enter a stale state of the game. And it also means, like, for me, who does not play all the time, like, I may miss a season. I don't have to go back and buy that to stay caught up. Like, if I don't play Warhammer 40K for 2 years and I miss 4 seasons, it's not like I have to go backwards to buy those rule sets to play in whatever season is the flavor of the day. So it allows for like ins and outs and, and some flexibility in when and how you play. So those are my initial thoughts, but I'm sure you have some.
I do, and I won't comment on the business side of it because I get it. Like, we're in the era, like, I'm in retail, like, I want to drive someone to buy stuff, like, and I think that is an absolute fine business practice.
Yeah.
But like where I like it in Underworlds. I think that it lives in Underworlds absolutely fine. Like seasons, new kind of like tweaks. We've gone from lethal hexes to gloom hexes, and it just kind of changes the game. It gives a setting. But the big games like AOS and 40K, and like, granted, like we don't know, like in 40K we haven't jumped seasons yet. But what I'm worried about, like 40K, is it's every 6 months. Like if you're rebooting the game in some way every 6 months, like that can be tiresome to keep up with when you have a huge collection as an army. And it is kind of like catch 22, because like if I have 2,000 points of an army that's set to play, and I go off the old business model, which was updated every 2, 3, 4 years, I might not spend any more money for 2, 3, 4 years. But now, like, I'm buying another unit. And yeah, it might be a $50 investment, but it takes you 2 years to paint your first 2,000 points. Like,
yeah.
So that's where like AOS and 40K kind of gets away from. What I do like, and once again, I haven't played a ton of Kill Team, but I like the war zones impacting the battlefield.
Yes.
So if that's what seasons turn into for AOS or turn into for 40K, where it's not a whole lot of like bespoke rules, it's just like, oh, you're fighting in Gur, or you're fighting on Nockman, or you're fighting in Octarius, and like you have like just a 2 or 3 different terrain sets, or like like maybe in 40K it's like acid rain, so like if you're move X, you get blasted with more acid rain and have to roll for damage or something. I don't know if it's like something like silly like that. Okay, fine. But if they're gonna hide like individual units within these books, where if I want to play Space Marines and I want to do a chaplain on a bike, and it all of a sudden ends up in a Caliban book for season 7, that's where it gets kind of thin for me, sir.
Yeah.
But it is the age of subscriptions and constant updates. So from a business standpoint, you rock. And the last thing I want to touch about on the preview is one of the greatest trolls. They already hit us with the Knights, then they hit us with an awesome trailer for Heresy, and then right at the end of the preview, they troll everybody and give 2 wounds to Chaos Space Marines, which was awesome.
That was awesome. That was good.
And right before we wrap up the segment, there is one more article that didn't happen in the preview, but I think for you and I, it's a huge announcement, and I'm really excited about it. Organized play kits are coming back specifically for Underworlds.
More chances for me to not win glass. I'm so excited.
I think it'll help grow the local scene, though, right?
Yeah, so, I agree, and I think that's what's been missing, kind of in our efforts to grow the community, is that there's not been like official GW support. So I'm excited. I legitimately am excited.
Yeah, for all the games, I think it's a great step.
Yeah, even if I don't get glass, I just like having the cool tokens. Like, yeah, it's just fun.
I still want a new piece of glass. So
I mean, that's fair. I mean, I do too, but as long as you're playing in the same tournament as me, I won't win it. So.
Well, good. I think that wraps up for what we've been up to. That's a good segment right there. Yep. And we're going to take a break. And when we come back, it's going to be you, Trace, and the professor talking about his Warhammer Underworlds experience at Adepticon. Be right back.
And we're back. And we are joined tonight by Gerard, the Professor Padro, who I think, Trace, you and I have both had the experience to play.
I have.
At previous Novas.
I have. And Dwarven Resilience is a stupid card.
That's you still remember?
That's right.
Oh my god.
Oh gosh.
It was a wonderful game though. I really enjoyed the game against you when we played, in 2019, Gerard.
Yeah, it was a 2-on-1 super tight.
That was Mollog into.
It was
Mollog into Thundrix.
Oh my
So-
gosh. Old school.
Yeah.
Very old school, yeah. I mean, that's how long. I mean, that was the current season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the
2019.
time. Yeah. That was me when I took that super meta choice Yothari's Guardians. Which
Yeah.
still
Yes.
going strong, that warband.
It's great to be here, guys.
Yeah, no, we're super excited that you're here. You and I have crossed paths in the remote leagues on
Yes.
occasion. I think that you've got me on those games, but that's okay.
Maybe,
No,
yeah.
no love lost there by any stretch of the imagination. But as we do with all of our guests, before we get into Adepticon and your experience with that, we do want to give our listeners the chance to get to know who you are a little bit in regards to gaming. So we have the series of questions that we ask. So I'll kick off with the first one. What is your earliest and or your favorite memory of board games from your childhood? So not necessarily miniatures wargaming, but any board game at all.
But I think it has to be a miniature game. I think because before that, my experience of tabletop games was things like Monopoly and stuff, which I've always found. I always thought they were horrid experiences.
No, yeah,
And then
fair.
it must be. This must be late 80s when the original Hero Quest came out.
Okay.
That's similar to our path too.
Right. And at that point, I think I'm slightly longer in the tooth than you guys. So I may have been a little bit farther down the path into like being a teenager. But I remember buying that thing and like playing the hell of it, with all the friends for weekends on end. And that was probably, frankly, the beginning. And then very quickly after that, I think, is when GW disembarked in Spain. Where I was growing up. I grew up in Barcelona, and then basically then we just got into that, and it was basically the Spanish translation of like second edition 40k,
Okay.
third edition Warhammer Fantasy. So that was So that caught me in my early teenage years, and then that was it. Basically playing nonstop until, frankly, things got hard enough in university that I had the usual. I think most of us quit at that point, right?
Yeah. What was your favorite character to play from Hero Quest? Do you remember?
I think I always picked the elf if I could.
Yeah.
There was but also, frankly, I'd like to play the evil dude. What was the name? The evil, the bad guy. Zoltan? What? Zoltan was the name? I don't remember. But that's
Zoltan
what
or Zarkan or something like that.
Something like that.
Clearly something starting with a Z. But
if Jason was here, he would remember.
Jason is screaming internally as he's listening to this right now.
That's right. Yeah.
Exactly. We should be ashamed. But actually, I like playing the bad guy. Yeah. I remember those goofy, the minis, they were really goofy. I actually got them back from the basement back in Barcelona because my nephew is now that age,
Nice.
And you look at those extremely goofy orcs,
Oh gosh,
they were exactly. They were that gargoyle that looked like he was breakdancing. It was just really funny miniatures, actually, in a way.
Awesome.
That's the original Bloodthirster miniature. That's what
I think exactly. Although, of course, in the box they said, gargoyle.
Yeah,
right?
He was a gargoyle then, but then they actually used that miniature with the Chaos line to be the Bloodthirster originally, or a Demon Prince.
Oh, I didn't know. I see. It makes sense actually when you think back. I mean, the imagery goes back a long time.
Yeah, and then you look at the Bloodthirster now, and you're like, oh wow, how did we get here?
Yeah.
How big it is now. So.
Yeah, to be fair, it's 30 years of technology improvement.
It's true.
Sure.
Yeah. It's a wonderful thing for us nerds.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So that's the origin.
Awesome.
It is, yeah.
So that kind of answers the second question, which is what we usually ask, which is, how did you get into tabletop miniatures? And Hero Quest is a pretty
that was the gateway.
Pretty common gateway. Yeah. Did you I know you said you played a little bit of fantasy 3rd edition too.
Yeah.
What did you play in fantasy?
Oh, dwarves.
All dwarves.
Gosh.
I had a big yes, exactly. If you remember those, I mean, they had that throne, that king on a throne. You know,
Yeah.
they had that flaming cannon. You know, it was like a barrel.
The flame cannon, the organ gun.
The organ gun. They had some funny looking helicopter, some steam helicopter of some kind. And the best of all, by the way, those original gangster Troll Slayer miniatures were really amazing. Like, you know, what has now become this Fire Slayer thing. But you know, back in the day, they were really like, you know, punks. It was just.
Do you remember they had the different ranks? They had
exactly. Ranks. It was Troll Slayer.
Yeah.
Giant Slayer.
Yeah.
Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer was the top one though.
Dragon Slayer was the
Dragon.
one.
I missed. Oh, I see. Yes. So that was the one in between.
And Giant Slayer. That's
exactly.
Right?
So it was Troll was the basic. Troll, Giant, Dragon, Demon. I want to say. I think that was the And the Demon Slayer actually was a beautiful miniature, by the way.
Yeah.
With a super tall. Super tall.
He had a super cool mohawk, and like he almost looked like he. And I think they made one of them that actually was standing on a demon's head at one point.
Oh, I see.
But I think it was actually a golden demon miniature that they used. But I remember those so well. I played against dwarves quite frequently in my early years playing. A lot of good memories around those models. They're super cool. I still have a lingering feeling of wanting to collect those.
I mean, some people do. Walking around the table, I know we're going to get into this at Adepticon, but there was somebody who had basically a Fire Slayer's army, but interspersed, basically had one of the full units was actually this old school.
Oh,
amazing!
That's awesome.
It's just, of course, they're way smaller now. Right? Of course, the size has also, but there's just such character in those miniatures in a way that maybe actually more than now, because they allowed themselves to be a little bit more goofy, I feel.
Yeah.
In the sculpts and the faces. So yeah. Anyway, so that's what I used to play on the fantasy side, and then on the 40K side, I played Imperial Guard.
Okay.
Mostly Imperial Guard. Yeah.
Was it mostly infantry based? I can't remember what it was like back then. If it was a lot of tanks.
So originally, the what really made the army was when they finally made the first plastic kit of the Lehman Russ tank.
Oh, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
This must be, I don't know, this must be like 92, 93, right?
Yeah.
Not later than that. And that's basically what allowed you to, because before that, it was all basically metal soldiers that looked like Cadians, but early Cadians. So this was basically the stuff that was left from Rogue Trader.
Yeah.
Weren't the heavy bolters on that kit? Weren't they metal still? Like, didn't you have to build the plastic body, but then like the heavy bolters?
Oh no!
Like
so
flamer.
so the immediately after the Lehman Rush, they came up with the kit for the Demolisher.
That's right.
And the Demolisher had the turret was all metal. Actually, it weighted a lot. And, and the sponsons were also metal. And I remember them. I clearly wasn't using the right kind of glue, and they would constantly basically glue themselves from the tank and fall. There was those plasma cannons, which were basically solid pewter.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And they were heavy. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah.
That's dredging up memories right there.
Oh yeah.
It's like the original Dreadnought that was all metal.
Oh, that thing was heavy. Yes.
Yeah.
That thing was crazy.
You knew no one was going to steal your army because it was too much work.
They just couldn't run away with it, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was fun, especially like, it was all like us, 13, 14 years old, probably getting all the rules wrong. And on top of that, the games were so clunky back then. If you remember, all those huge amounts of tables. When you hit a tank, you had to roll a die to see if you hit, the tracks or
the front or the side armor.
Exactly.
Or whatever. And then you had to see if you even heard it or not.
Yeah, exactly. Really 90s. You can really tell, really 90s, right? The more early 90s, the more tables and dice you had to roll for stuff, the kind of the earlier the game in a way.
Yeah,
but you also had way less minis too. Like it was,
yeah.
You had maybe like as an Imperial Guard army, you may have had like 30 miniatures, and that was huge back then.
Yeah, like 2 squads of 10 each, and then maybe like 2 or 3 tanks. And maybe exactly like a couple of Lumenras and a couple of Chimeras and
Basilisks.
Yeah, the Basilisks.
Yeah, that later, exactly. Basilisks, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. The Manticores came out around the same time as those, didn't they? The Basilisks and the Manticores.
Exactly, because that was part of the same kind of kit, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was just the turret was different. Yeah.
The Manticore model. I think the missiles were pewter too.
That would not surprise me.
But it's been a long time since I've looked at any of those.
I don't know. Yeah, it's and some of these things originally came out in resin from Forge World, and then they made plastic kits. I mean, at some point, yeah. Of course, as a lowly teenager, we were looking at those resin models.
Oh gosh.
With MB, but but it was basically absolutely unaffordable stuff.
Yeah.
I remember logging into the Forge World website when I was younger and just like gawking at the big monster kits from the fantasy realm, like the Chaos War Mammoth was like something that I would pull up and look at almost every day when I got home from school. So I mean, we talked about the technological change. I mean, it's amazing what they're doing now with plastic kits.
Yeah.
That actually very much approaches the size of those crazy things that they used to only be do with resin in this way. Right now, any of these centerpieces of these Age of Sigmar armies are basically enormous. Like giant big wings, giant very dynamic poses.
Yeah.
Not like what we grew up with here. Your good old dragon that looked like a chicken and stuff. That's the.
Yeah, and wings that never stayed on because the kid.
Yeah, because they were plastic. Exactly. Yeah. Like the body was metal, the wings were plastic. Clearly, again, we weren't using the right kind of glue.
Nope.
You didn't know that you needed to pin it all together.
Oh no, exactly. Yeah. Pinning. When I learned about pinning, that was like another technological revolution.
Yeah. Yep.
You're like, oh, I can cut a paperclip into tiny pieces and drill holes in my model, and it'll stay in place.
Freaky wings are going to stay in place.
Oh my gosh. My whole life has changed. Oh,
yes, old memories. And by the time we got a little bit more comfortable with the hobby aspect, then kind of life happened. Late high school, early university, forget it. And 10 years with very little playing, at least in my case.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much true for myself and probably for Trace too.
Yeah, I didn't really get back into it until probably a year or so before I found the GW store in Raleigh.
Yeah.
I took a pretty long break.
2006?
No.
No.
It was like 2009, 2010 maybe.
Whenever 6th edition started.
Yeah, 2010 I think is when I kind of picked it back up.
Anyway. All right. Well, before we spend too long in the past, let's jump to the present. We want to hit the third question and get to Adepticon before everyone here falls asleep. So the last question that we want to ask is, what is your current favorite miniatures game? And a follow-up to that is, what is your favorite faction, miniature, character, unit, warband, whatever for that game?
I mean, it has to be Underworlds. I'm a bit of a fanatic. It just hits all the right notes for me. It's a relatively quick game.
Yeah.
I'm short of time, like all of us, daddies around here. I'm sure we all are. And the fact that you can, I can be paired with Gerard in the Basel League and actually, in an hour and a half, whip out 2-3 games, get it done. It's a very quick, dynamic game. In fact, if anything, has gotten a little bit slower than it used to be. But it's just a great game, and but still very tactical.
Yes.
You have some customization with the cards. It hits basically all I need. So the truth is, when I got into this, when this thing was released, what was it, 2018, I guess? I never looked back. I mean, I used to play a lot of War Machine. That basically those minis went into the box, never been out.
Yeah.
And that's been pretty much it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And in terms of Warband, I mean, I'm I keep changing here and there, so that's not. There is actually, I realized that there is one mini that it must be my favorite in the entire Underworlds range, which I have to say it's a fantastic range of miniatures.
Yes.
Yes.
And this has to be. I was talking about this with our common friend Jimmy over the weekend at Adepticon. It has to be Quiv.
Okay, Quiv.
Quiv,
Yeah.
the little nobbler that goes with Hrothgorn.
Okay.
This guy is so mean. Have you looked at the mini? He looks so mean. He looks
does
like
look
I'm
mean.
gonna stick this into you.
I'm gonna
Quiv
have
is-
to look him up now.
Oh, it's really a truly amazing miniature. And there was a version of it painted for the Golden Demon at Adepticon.
Nice.
Okay.
That could, of course, these guys are amazing painters, right? Picked out all the details, and that face is just amazing. He has like just an amazing, a mean,
Oh my
mean
gosh,
face.
he does have a mean looking face.
He's a mean looking face, right? He's like,
Oh, yeah.
He's like a Joe Pesci. He's like a nobbler
Yeah,
Joe
look at
Pesci.
that snarl.
You see,
Yeah.
he's just like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get this,
He's mean mugging everybody, man.
Yeah, he is.
That's how he rolls. I
Oh
love
my
that.
gosh,
model.
that's awesome.
I just love this mini. So that's my pick for an individual mini in Underworlds.
Nice.
Oh, that's perfect.
That's a good.
Yeah,
pick.
that's a good
I like
one.
that.
Of course, Jimmy said that this because I have a certain resemblance, but I refuse to accept the fact.
No, that can't be true.
I refuse to accept that fact. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Well, cool. Yeah. So now to the meat of it, right? So we wanted to get you on because you went to Adepticon and you had a reasonable amount of success there.
Way more than expected.
And you're like us, so you're a father, you've got a family and all of that to balance with games, and so we just wanted to have you on to to talk about that. So I mean, if you don't mind, why don't you let's just walk through the games, and before we get into everything here, I do want to say that Compact is his Vassal handle or his Discord handle. I can't remember his real name off the top of my head. Gerard,
Graham.
That's right. Yeah. From Set the Tempo, he basically did an analysis of your deck and kind of walked through kind of the competitive side of it. We may refer to that blog article. It's a great article. It's pretty thorough and really digs into some of the choices that you made and kind of his interpretations of it and how it would play out. We'll link to that in the show notes as well for anybody that hasn't had the chance to read it yet. So that exists. That's out there. We don't want to rehash all of that content because he can get those clicks as far as we're concerned because he did the work for it. But we wanted to talk to you about what it was like to play, like how it was to play 9 games in 2 days after having not played that many games in a week or a month for the past 2 years.
That was really quite something.
And everything. So I mean, we'll just kind of turn it over to you. You can kind of start your story wherever you'd like, and then
so like you guys basically, we scrounge time to game in however way we can, right? And for me, frankly, the excuse to keep playing games has been signing up for the Vassal League. That at least forces me,
yes,
one matchup a week, and that's one way of kind of keeping up a bit. In this particular case, and frankly, when we saw that there was going to be Adepticon in Underworlds with a couple of friends, we said, well, are we doing this? We know we're actually quite rusty,
Yeah.
And but let's do it. It's going to be fun to hang out. And so absolutely, right? So then we sign up. And then, of course, we had all these plans about practicing different warbands, which we didn't do, right?
Sure.
And then it comes basically the last, 2 weeks. You say, well, we got to do something here. I tried a whole bunch of things. In fact, I thought I would be going in with Drepur. As you know, that's what I had been playing in the Vassal League lately. So, but basically, I realized it had several terrible matchups with some things that are in the meta, like Elephane and other things, basically. So Drepur does okay. It's not a bad warband by any stretch of the imagination, but partly because I was starting to get bored with it, and partly because it's really after the nerfs that they received, they're actually really bad going in the offense. It's a very reactive warband.
Okay.
So basically, I even tried a Moloch kind of build, which I think actually may have some legs. But
go to the dark side.
Exactly, it may have some legs actually in the current. There's like a few objectives that allow you to actually do stuff with little squiggles. But But then, frankly, I went back to my comfort zone. Like I had played the Banshees a while back.
Yeah.
Actually, when they came out, in basically during Bisgrave, basically.
Yeah.
And I had played also a few games with Dread Patient, which also do the Hold Objective game quite well.
Yes.
And basically, I realized that actually, in this meta where everybody wants to come to your site and score Fearless Seekers and score a whole bunch of things on your site, you could actually fly through them, go to the other side, and score your dominant positions and everything on their side.
Okay.
And then basically force the aggro player to choose. Are you going to try to score the stuff on my side of the board or try to actually kill my ladies?
Yeah.
And that was basically the plan. But I actually literally I put the deck together, or the embryo of the deck, like 9-10 days before Adepticon. But thankfully, and this is like a real shout out here, like the Basel community is amazing. So basically, I could play the Thursday. Every Thursday there is this community, brawl, I would say, and people just try things.
Yeah.
So I played it on the Thursday before Adepticon. It went quite well. I say, so this may actually have legs. And then over the weekend, I scrounged some time to play with some people like Alessor and like Chad. Basically, there's very good people, very happy to help. Yeah. They also gave me some extra pointers. And so that was good. So then I had a plan, and basically I stuck to the plan nice. for the actual event, which frankly was good because 9 matchups, best of 3 in 2 days is fairly brutal. If you actually had to think many things on the fly, it was really bad. In terms of, by the way, managing the family, I had the funny coincidence that because of the way the spring break of the children and the spring break at work and my work happened, they basically went to visit my in-laws the week before Adepticon, and I couldn't go because, I was still teaching.
Oh, nice.
So that meant that actually I had a bunch of evenings here at home by myself with silence, which, as you know, is it's a precious good. It's a very precious good.
Yeah.
Where I could actually just, hit some friends and play games on over Basel, right? So that actually basically that was the extent of my practice. So in a way that worked out. I'll try to replicate this next year. I don't know if that's going to work.
Yeah, right.
Or no, but like before any event, send the family away somewhere so that you can actually have 3-4 days to think about things. I strongly recommend it, guys. That's
sure.
That's all I'm going to say. So that worked out. Anyway, so that was basically on the competitive side. I had a plan. I said, well, look, if I hit these aggro people, I'm just trying to run over and score things on their side.
Okay.
And also the fact that, of course, the 4 ladies started to dodge.
Yeah.
So 2 dodge, you move them on cover. Now it's 2 dodge on cover. If you manage to make a few defense rolls, you are in business.
Yeah.
Right. That was basically the plan. One thing I like, by the way, about the current rule set, and I think that this I said in that article that Graham wrote, is that with the 4 hex offset.
Sure.
With the inability of putting feature tokens on edges, that makes the game very interactive. Even if you're going for hold objective, it's actually a very interactive game.
Yes.
You're going to get charges. You're going to, fighting is going to happen, right? So we're not anymore in the world of like Molten Sharp Pit and see you later,
gosh.
Which was truly atrocious. So it was nice. So even though I was going for a mostly hold objective, it was very interactive. It was nice. There was back and forth, and every dice roll, you are basically, it's intense, right? You need to make your defense rolls,
Sure.
So basically, typically, a game would go well when you get to the 3rd phase and they've only killed 1 Banshee, right?
Yes.
A game goes very badly when 1 Banshee goes down in the 1st phase.
Yes.
And then probably a second one in the 2nd phase, and now you're really in a tight spot, right? So,
sure.
So it was nice. You have the recourse sometimes of partial resurrection, but more often than not, actually, the Harrow is the lady that falls first.
Yes.
Frankly, I think that's the one card that I would drop if I had to redo because it's actually a restricted slot, and half the games the Harrow dies first, and then there goes your restricted slot, right? So so that was that. I mean, the one thing I want to say. So Adepticon was great in that big spread of warbands.
Okay.
I played 9 matchups. In fact, I have them written down here. And I played Black Powder. I played Miyari, Wormspat, Elathane, Ripa again. That's the only repeat. And then Canaan Reaper, the Crimson Court, and Crucius. So,
Oh, wow.
so a big spread of warbands. That was very nice to see.
Yeah.
Very few repeats. And the truth is, I think that this big spread, frankly, reflects the meta. I mean, I think it's fair to say that maybe Elathane and Crimson Court are a tad above the rest, but really not by a lot. And
Sure.
only if very good players are actually playing them. It's not like these are easy like point and click warbands.
Yeah.
And there's a good dozen warbands that can do very well.
Yeah. And we were tracking Adepticon, and we noticed like when it went to the cut, I think it was like there were 12.
16 in the cut, which was part of
Yeah, but there were 12 different warbands
12
in the top 16, which is pretty. I mean,
pretty diverse meta, yo.
Well, I mean,
good.
show me the top 16 in 40K with 12 different factions.
Exactly, no way.
Or the top 16 in AOS with
Harlequins. It was Harlequins and
Harlequins and
Custodes and
same thing in
Cow.
Kill Team, by the way. So this is so that's very nice. I think that actually again this is not a fluke. I think it reflects. So if there is one style of warbands that is probably struggling at the moment, is like the big hordes.
Sure.
And I think basically that's going to be the case until primacy rotates out, to be honest. I think that's part of that. Well, actually, there's two issues. One, it's primacy. The other one is that, of course, there's a lot of kill surges.
Okay. Yeah.
Which when you have a lot of two wound people running around, I think you give up very easily.
Yeah.
So we'll see how the meta evolves, right?
Sure.
But besides those, I think again there's all kinds of things that you can play. You can play Hold, you can play aggro, you can play aggro with 4 wound fighters, you can play aggro with a big dude.
Yeah.
You can. It's a very nice meta. I like it. And that's partly of what I realized, when I was trying to prepare for Adepticon. It's like, wow, you could go this way, but then you can find this, this kind of warband that's going to cause these problems, and you can go that way and find, So it's I think it's a very nice spread.
The good thing about that is that because the game is in a balanced state like that, like your odds of running into your hard counter are a lot lower.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, and again, and things are not spread out. By the way, things are not. It's not so extreme. Yeah. Even aggro warbands tend to have a little bit of hold. Maybe only scan resources, but that's a little bit of hold, right?
Yeah.
Or horrors in the dark, but that's a little bit of hold, right?
Yeah.
And then of course, if you run like full hold like I was running, but of course I still needed like 2+1 damage and some accuracy and stuff, because you're gonna have to throw down. So it's not as bad as there used to be builds back in Beastgrave that were like fully passive, right?
Yes.
But now you cannot afford to do it, and I think that's a good thing. You cannot skew so badly. So even your bad matchups, let me put it like this, are not as horrible as bad matchups in the past have been.
Yeah.
Just because the game doesn't allow you to skew so much.
So I have a question kind of regarding that, just because, like I said earlier before we were recording, that I've just not been playing as much. But so when you're looking at these decks, are you seeing a lot of repeat of the same types of cards, just on like basically bolted onto the different warbands, or are you seeing truly independent and unique decks?
So there are a couple of upgrades that probably will be restricted because they're everywhere.
Right. Okay.
Besides that, you see quite a lot of spread, I think. There's people that need speed, and they will have the speed cards, but many people don't need the speed cards anymore because the game is more of a brawl in the middle.
Right.
Yeah. So you see, going down. Take a look down the decks. You see quite a bit of variety of cards, actually. In a way, I like it. As I said, so things are spread out. I'm sure if you made a card analysis, I'm sure they would see some things that are just everywhere. Like there's this Silent Helm is everywhere.
Yeah.
Shadow Keeper is everywhere. Frankly, those two cards should probably be restricted in some way. But on the objectives, for example, now that scan resources has been restricted, some people run it, some people don't. It used to be an auto-include, right? Unrestricted. Now some people run it, some people don't, because it's actually deniable. So it's not obvious to me that we would see that many, that much repeat stuff. I would need to take a look. Actually, truthfully, I didn't think of looking at it in this way.
I just know that like previously, and this kind of happens each season, and as the new, Forsaken and restricted lists come out, things fall off as we expect. But usually there's some kind of other card that's always been a fringe card that bubbles up and then becomes the new auto include. And so I was just curious because, like I said, I haven't been in the meta that much recently, but just based on previous experience, there's always like 2 or 3 objective cards that are in everybody's deck, or there's always 2 or 3 upgrades or ploys, or even any kind of gambit card that usually will be very prevalent across the whole meta. So I just wasn't sure if that was, if you noticed it, but if you didn't just notice it off the cuff, then it's probably not as prevalent as it used to be. So
I think it's quite spread out. I mean, there are basically, cards like Duel of Wits that even though it's restricted, it's going to pop up more often than not, because drawing cards in this game is very useful.
And especially since it's such an easy trigger, right? It's
exactly. So that's but I think it's more the exception than the rule. I think the spread was quite good actually in terms of this. Because people only brave people can run great games now.
Yes.
Only very brave people run great games. I saw very little of the. Frankly, I saw very little of the 3 Glory third end phase stuff. Demolish the opposition and stuff. I don't think there was much of that going around.
Yeah.
At least in the games I played. And frankly, the warbands that are doing well, like the vampires, like the fishes, it's because they have good self objectives, right? So that by itself, they are basically warband specific objectives that make them good. So that's part of so that will take away from like the standard stuff.
Yeah.
That anybody can take. Which I think is good for character in a way,
Or it allows you to double down, and it
allows you to double down, like in the case of the Banshees, right? Because double dominant position, that was actually useful. Yeah, the Red Patient has the same objective as it also. That's the other way of building that.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
So it was good. Again, I played as we said, it was a best of 3 5 times on the first day.
Gosh.
And then a cat. And then 4 times on the second day.
Wow.
So it was a bit intense. Again, good thing that I had like a very drilled plan onto my brain, because otherwise, like if I had to think too much, like I had it even down to the boards, like I either put this down or put that down. Like there's nothing else.
Yeah.
Otherwise, exactly.
Yeah. The less that you have to think about, the better.
And that's a good shout for anybody who is listening and is wanting to go to a con to be competitive. Drill that stuff into your head. Like, don't stray. Like, come up with what your strategy is. Come up with your and like from top to bottom, your boards, what you're going to do in scenario A or B or C, and stick to it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But
yes,
it allows you to play faster and react to other things more naturally if you do that. So that's a good piece of advice just for anybody who's listening. Don't do like me. Do like Gerard.
I'm not. Look, I'm really not the fastest player anyway. And the truth is, even like not having to think a lot about, or at all actually, about boards and objective placement, there is no way I would have been able to play a true best of 3 in an hour and a half.
Yeah,
which was the timing. So basically what happened is, that it was always either 0-2 or 2-0. And that was it. Except the pairing with Alex he was playing Elethenes. It was actually 2 very tight games. and we ended up 1-1, and with like 5 minutes to left.
Oh no.
Oh wow.
And we looked at each other and said, look, we just don't have it in us to play a third game, and we just basically said tie. Let's just we take the draw. Call it.
Yeah.
Because what do? You start a third game. This is literally going to be decided on like who gets the easiest surges in the first hand.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
So we just decided to call it, and that was that. And all the other matchups were either 2-0 or 0-2, and then that was it. Because otherwise, it's very tight. I love where the game is. It is. I love the place of the game, but we need to take into account that the delving business adds 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes to every game.
Yes. Yeah.
And in my opinion, the new mulligan also adds minutes to the game.
Yes.
Yeah. Agreed.
And for 2 reasons. Not so much in Basel, right? Because in Basel, the shuffling
is
automatic, right? But even in Basel, look, it used to be in the old world, we only mulliganed when your hands were truly catastrophic.
Yes.
Right? That was the only reason to mulligan, right? Because you were actually dumping all those cards, right? All that glory, you were dumping it. Now you think and you say, well, I got 2 end phases, 1 surge, but I know there's a better surge in the deck. Maybe I should fish for it.
Yeah.
It's more of a consideration. So 2 minutes here, 3 minutes there, and the games are hardly ever half an hour anymore. They're more like 40, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Playing at a fast clip.
Yeah.
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 So
I think the rounds at Nova are slotted for 2 hours.
I'm very happy to hear that. Actually, I'm very happy to hear that.
So that should probably feel a little
Play
better.
relaxed. Exactly. There's no point to this is our hobby. I don't I have enough stress in my life.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I don't need my hobby to give me heartburn.
No. Yeah. That's awesome. Cool. So I guess like what was your maybe favorite matchup while you were there?
So the favorite series must be so I wasn't lucky enough actually thinking about an easy route. I get in, I play the first matchup with a very nice guy called Sal who had the Black Powder. This is basically the latest warband.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to admit this is it's not top of the shelf. This warband, so I could win that matchup. And then second round comes, and I'm paired with Davey Calkins.
Oh, Davey.
Oh no!
Who, if you know him, very good player.
Yeah, Davey from What the Hex.
Exactly.
Podcast.
Fantastic player, fantastic guy. And I'm thinking, gosh, that again, the course of the second round. Actually, Max, Max Bernstein and I have this course here, like around Connecticut and New York. Every time we go to a tournament, we get paired every time in the second round.
Oh no!
And indeed, that also happened in Nova 2019.
Oh yeah.
And that was a big tournament, but still second round I got Max.
Yeah.
Anyway, so here I get Davey, and he actually brought Miari's Purifiers.
Oh nice.
Again, trying to have, I guess, a little bit like me, right? Trying to have an anti-meta call.
Sure.
About something that could be very flex and hold. In a world where you have all this aggro trying to come to you.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a very nice 2-game set. I got lucky enough to win both of them, but it was like very tight games, very close, beautiful. It just, this game, it's just great to play against good players and just, you have banter, you have the banter, but you still have the tactical thinking, and it was just very nice. And similarly, in the second day, I had a very tight run with a Kainan Reaper player.
Okay.
Called John Rapp, I want to say, somebody from Texas. Very nice, again, great opponent to have, and very interesting matchup in the sense that you want to keep away from Kainan Reapers as far as you can, right? Because otherwise these guys wrap around you and they just destroy you, right? So basically, my plan of flying through people and holding on the other end was, I had, you had to think, at some point you had to think, well, do I just hide behind my block hexes here? Or try to So it was a funny, and it was so tight that in fact the first game I only won on objectives.
Oh wow!
It was too tight, and then I only won on objectives. And the second game, I think it was like a 1 or a 2 glory.
Oh, that is tight.
These were 2 games that any dice rolls. Any dice roll could have basically, decided the game on in some other way. Again, very nice games, great opponents. It was just a run, to be honest. I was very happy. I mean, I imagine as you guys, not that much playing in person,
Yeah.
right? Not over the last 2 years for reasons we all know.
Yeah.
Besides not having time, it's just
Yes.
very little like in person, like 3D tournaments.
Yeah.
And just being there and, having the banter with your opponent and rolling dice, actually physically rolling dice and shuffling your cards and moving the minis across the table and seeing people's very nice paint jobs. It was all, it's different, there's this different energy in tournaments, and especially in these big tournaments, like in the context of something as huge as Adepticon. I mean, it's funny because the days of Underworlds, I had a little bit of tunnel vision and I only went to the hall where Underworlds was happening. And then on the Saturday, when we were done, I had some time to hang out. And I realized how fantastically enormous this thing was. I mean, there was like we were in this giant hall, and there was another one that was like twice as big, in fact, that I hadn't even seen in the first 2 days, with all the 40K stuff. Plus, there was a Star Wars Armada, Star Wars, the X-Wing stuff. But anyway, like enormous amounts of stuff. Beautiful quilting tables, all kinds of stuff going on. And there's just an energy, right, to these things.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful. I'm looking forward to Nova. I've already registered. Yeah, I think that's going to be good.
Yeah, we're excited too. So I'm excited to get back to it.
Yeah, let's hope. I mean, this is literally the next one, right? So we met in 2019, and then that's it. There's been no Novas until this one. So
that's right.
So we're really gonna party this one up.
And it's a premiere event this time. No weird nighttime schedule.
Yes, that's true. Although I'm to be honest, I'm a little bit I'm of two minds about this, and the reason is because, of course, for my schedule that's way better, right?
Yes.
But I'm not sure what this is gonna do for the numbers of the overall tournament.
Yeah.
It's I have the feeling that many people were there in 2019 that were playing other games, and then at night decided to try this other game, or maybe they had tried a bit. But now this thing like fully overlaps with the big 40K event, the big Kill Team event, the big AOS event.
Yeah.
So we'll see what kind of numbers we get. I mean, I'm gonna have fun either way, but it would be nice to have a big tournament,
Yeah. It'd be good for it to be, like 32. I think would be at least 32 would be nice.
That would be nice. Let's hope we get there. I mean, let's call on everybody who listens to your podcast. Just you guys sign up. That's fun. It is fun. We are fun people, believe it or not, even though we are, boring dads. And it's just a lot of fun. And the game is in a great place, to be honest. The game.
Yes.
Yeah. I think you will inch up there as time goes on. I think that people just in general are still probably a little leery just because of world events.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think that as we get closer to time, you'll see some of those events fill up quite frequently, because quite frankly, it's kind of low across all the events, because I went and double checked the registration after we went and looked at it and signed up ourselves, and there's still plenty of seats in both like the 40K tournament and in Age of Sigmar stuff. So I think that it's just an overall lower initial burst of registration, if I had to guess, because the year that we went in 2019, events filled up within like a day.
Yes.
And now, so I think that that's a symptom of world events. So I think as we inch closer, you'll get people that are going to be more curious about it, and I think some of the new warbands probably will attract
exactly
some new
come
people.
out if they keep their these amazing sculpts and whatever. That's going to have to pull people in.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
like even the zombie boogaloo, the electric boogaloo zombies that are coming out, I think those are going to attract some people. Like, I mean, I'm going to buy those models just because I think that they're gorgeous, even if I'm not necessarily playing in the Underworlds event. I still buy them just because they're wonderful models and I love to paint.
Yeah.
But I think that you'll get some of those other warbands too that are going to come out that we don't know of, that will grab somebody and get them into the game. So I think that
That would be great. Yes.
I think we're in a good spot.
That would be good. The truth is, as we discussed, I mean, given what's happening to the release schedule, I think over the summer there's going to be a lot of stuff coming out, and hopefully that creates that creates the buzz.
Yep.
To get people in.
Yeah, because so Q2.
They're supposed to be basically.
Well, there's supposed to be a new warband. So I'm looking at the roadmap article on Warhammer Community in Q2 2022. So that started Friday.
Yes.
We're supposed to get a new warband, and that one we know is
that's the zombies. Yeah.
The Exiled Dead, Electric Boogaloo, as Trace likes to say, and a new core set with 2 new warbands, and so that's in Q2. Exactly. And so I mean, there's going to be 3 new warbands before Nova. And
my understanding is that the idea, at least the original idea, was still to have 8 warbands over the year.
Sure.
So that would mean that there would still be 2 more coming to be released at some point in, I guess, June, July. I mean,
maybe we could get one more before Nova.
Yeah. Yep. Because traditionally, the new, what used to be the original core set of each season came out like a month after we would get back from Nova.
So around October. So exactly. My sense is basically what they've done is take what used to be a season, which was kind of the academic calendar, like October to like July, and break it into 2.
Yes. Yeah, that's what it looks like.
So then it's basically 4 warbands the first half, of which the Exiled Dead is the last one.
Yes.
Yep.
And then if that's the calendar, we're supposed to have another core box with 2 warbands and 2 more warband boxes.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, again, we're gonna have 5 warbands by the time.
By the time there's a good chance.
In,
that's a good hope.
That we haven't even seen yet. Well, I guess 1 we have seen, but we don't know what it does, right?
Yeah.
And 4 more. So
what a world to be living in right now.
So this could be exactly. So actually, I hadn't thought about this. Maybe Teresa is right here that this will create the buzz that fills up the numbers. That would be great.
Because I mean, the thing that I try and remember, and the thing that we are struggling with just in our local community is just getting people to come play, right?
Yeah.
It's just an overall lull in tabletop games, just because some people are still more conservative about how they're handling their health, and that's completely justified.
Yep.
So I hope that as the year kind of goes on and the threat of COVID kind of dissipates more and more as the year goes on, knock on wood.
Yeah, right.
That we see more of a resurgence as we get closer to the con, and that'll be awesome to have.
That would be great. People. Yes. I mean, have you checked the numbers for things like, Kill Team and things like that?
So I'm on the site right now, and all of the Marvel Crisis Protocol slots are eaten. There were not many of them.
There was 48 total across the 2 days.
They're all gone.
Yeah. I see. So they are doing. So I feel also that.
But even the Kill Team GT, which is on Saturday, Sunday,
is still not full.
It's still there are 42 of 64 slots available right now.
Yeah, so that's a good representation too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think probably, if I had to guess, all of the big stuff is going to get filled up early because you have the people that this is what I do.
That's what they do.
I go to cons and I play 40K. I go to cons and I play Age of Sigmar. And then I think you're going to see like the communities that are kind of resurging around games like Kill Team and Marvel Crisis Protocol and Underworlds, and even like Legion or Armada or whatever. I think that I think to Trace's point, I think hopefully as the year progresses, things will be more comfortable for everyone.
Let's hope. Yeah.
And we'll see those numbers tick up.
I think you'll also see people who wanted to get into those games and have like waitlisted themselves that are just itching to go play at a con. You're going to get some people that just want to come and play a game, and they'll be willing to purchase into this game just to go and play a game with people. So,
I mean, my hope. So speaking to that, that's related to what you said before. If the miniatures in the core box that's supposed to show up are awesome.
Yeah,
That would be a good reason to catch your eye and say, you know what, let me try this game.
Sure.
exactly. And if they're playing second fiddle and they're like, well, I'm not going to get to play Age of Sigmar, but I can play with some Age of Sigmar models.
Hmm.
So and
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's the hope. I mean, one thing that I have to say, so I know quite well, again, the meta back home in Spain, which was it's still actually big in Underworlds in a way, but both Marvel on the one side and the new edition of Kill Team on the other have sucked out quite a bit of the oxygen in the room, to be honest. I mean, there's this style of skirmish game that some of us like. I mean, frankly, I'm too old and I don't have the stamina to play a big army game anymore ever again.
Sure.
That's basically that's what it is, right? So these are the kind of games that catch my eye, right? Skirmish style, 10, 12, 15 minutes per miniatures per side,
Yep.
So of course that has, these are, as far as I can tell, I've played a little bit of Kill Team. I haven't played Marvel.
Yeah.
But these are good games, right? As far as people like them. So that's
the
also
game
going to split it's going to split the community a bit.
Yeah, the Marvel Crisis Protocol is the game that really has kind of my eye right now.
I see. So
that's kind of where that falls, and I'm going to be putting some energy into that game. So
that makes sense. So you would be a good example of this, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. We're you're on the line with somebody who has fallen prey to the other the grass is greener syndrome.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, the miniatures look fantastic, so that's not that I fault you for that. No. But it's true that at the point, like in the high day of Underworlds, 2-3 years ago, this was like the one game with very tight rules.
Yes.
Fast paced,
that's true.
And that unique selling point has been a little bit, eroded because there's all these other offerings, right? I mean, I would still claim that there's something very unique to Underworlds, by the way. The fact that we don't never ever need to get into arguments about measurement and line of sight.
Oh my gosh.
I think this makes my life. I'm too old to get into certain arguments about bendy rulers and stuff.
No.
So that's one, and the card element. Although I understand that some of these other games have elements of this as well, but I like the card. I like the fact that the customization is not so much the minis themselves. The team is what it is.
Yeah.
But you customize on the card side. So not to say that it's better than the other ones, but it certainly has its unique points, and it's actually faster as far as I can tell. Even it's certainly faster than Kill Team.
Yes, and it's faster than Marvel Crisis Protocol. I think most MCP tournaments are running 2-hour rounds. So,
and that's one game.
Hour and a half.
Right?
That's one match. I mean, it's one game. Yeah, it's
you
not
cannot do best of three.
Yeah.
So it has some unique selling points, and frankly, I still, as much as I respect all these other miniatures, I still think that the character in the Underworlds miniature is like Warban after Warban after Warban. Keep knocking it out of the park. I mean,
it's wonderful. It's wonderful. Yeah. And like I said, I'll still purchase the Warbands just because they're wonderful miniatures. Even if I'm not playing hardcore all the time, I can still buy that pack of minis and know that I can play a Rivals game.
Exactly off the box.
In a good spot. Yeah.
I mean, if they push this other format, that's going to be another thing to get people back into the game. I mean, that if you don't want to burn too much gray matter, before a game, but you still want to play it, just take the cards and just play.
And I think when we talked about this on our Rivals episode, but it engages a different part of your brain.
Yes.
To play a Rivals game versus a deck that you've honed and crafted and kind of spent a lot of time with. It's a different type of brain hurt.
Yeah,
it really is because So playing with friends, I realized you're really in a very different mindset, in which it's not so much you don't have a very smooth deck.
Nope.
That you know exactly how it's going to work. It's literally more of a lemonade game, in which okay, so I've got this. How can I squeeze 3 glory out of this round?
Yeah,
exactly.
With what I got, right?
Yeah.
And it has a beauty of its own. Actually, it's a very different thing, right? These decks are in general clearly not as efficient or streamlined.
Yeah.
and it's all about sometimes with like clear anti-synergies, to be honest. And then it's just a very different game, right? It's just a game of trying to figure out again how to squeeze glory. Frankly, I don't know if you guys played Shadespire at the very beginning.
Yes,
we did.
The game felt a lot like this at the beginning, right? That basically you won games, 7-4.
Yes.
And 8-6. I mean, these were the scores. I remember, like in the club where I was back in London when this thing came out. I was living in the UK still at that point, and I remember the first time that we got to like 10 glory. Like when somebody got to 10 glory in the table, I got to 10, 11 glory. Right? Like you scored the supremacy. That was like an enormous deal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, now, especially in business, things were like crazy, right? Like you would score like 18 glory and lose a game, right?
Yeah. You're scoring 27 glory.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, how did you get that much?
So the in a way these the rivals decks bring you back to that, right? It's like you really have to squeeze those cards for what they are worth, and get get to 6, 7, 8 glory, and that's and you may actually get the game. It's nice. I like it also. Yeah. It's the same basic mechanics, which is just great. I think the basic mechanics of the game are just so strong.
Yes.
That they can support different modes like this. Yeah.
So if you change gears just a touch. So if you would you go back to Adepticon and play again at Adepticon if you
100%. 100%. Yes, absolutely. For the games, but just for the experience, again, so good friends that I've made through this game actually, like Jimmy, I think he's been in this podcast before.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen him physically in literally, I guess, also since Nova.
Yeah.
So just the excuse to spend, a few days, hang out, catch up, throw dice, meet new people. David Calkins I had never met in the flesh. There's and many new people that I met there. I mean, just again, opponents in general were fantastic. Many people that was like their first Grand Clash. Just getting a taster. It was just very nice. Yes, I mean that I had a great experience, and I would 100%. I would go back tomorrow. I mean, of course, my wife wouldn't let me, but what I mean.
It's one of the cons that I've always wanted to go to, but it always falls in such a weird time for us.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, frankly, it saved me that it somehow happened in the spring break of the university where I worked to, and then we just okay, let's do it. So we're doing it. It was just a quick decision. If it didn't, then I literally couldn't. I mean, there's no other way. Like if it doesn't coincide, especially this tournament, which was a Thursday and Friday, right? I mean, it depends on the flexibility, right? In my case, we're all tied to the academic calendar here. So, if it works, it works. In fact, for next year, I already strategically placed my classes on Tuesday and Wednesday.
There you go.
Because I knew that this would for sure allow me, like, no matter where they put Underworlds in the Nova weekend,
awesome.
I would be able to go. That's how ridiculous the investment in this game, I guess.
That's smart. That's smart though. You gotta plan it.
Yeah, planning professional stuff around this thing. No, but to be honest, I feel if it's twice a year, Nova, Adepticon, that we would have like a good like Underworlds showing.
Yeah,
that's something I'm happy to try to make. Every year. I mean, at least one, but if it's two, then in a way, double the fun, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that sounds good.
Yeah, there's so much we can tax the patience of our families, but if we can, it's nice.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I think we do want to honor your time and honor our own time here. So again, I just want to say thanks. Thanks for joining us. It feels like a good spot to wrap up. I don't know if you have any closing remarks or final thoughts.
Just be thankful for you having me here. It's great to see you guys as usual, and see you guys soon.
Yeah, always a pleasure, Gerard.
At the latest, in DC. Yes. In what is this, like half a year from now?
Gosh, is it that? It is that far away, right? The end of.
I mean, we're all fired up, but it's
4 months. It's only 4 months. 4 months.
Yeah. 4 months. Okay, a third of a year. We're doing much better. Exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
But in the meantime, like we're usually on in the middle of, like at night. So if you ever want to just get on, if you're painting your minis and you just want to get on and hang out,
Yeah, we're in our
Oh,
Discord.
that's true.
we're just hanging out. So just jump on our Discord and
Yeah,
hang
that's
out with us.
excellent.
and
I
we'd
think,
be-
yeah, I think
And I'm-
Jason invited me to it. Every now and then I've shown up just with the
Yeah.
excuse to hang out with Jason. So absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that we'll run into each other in the coming Vassal leagues in the meantime.
Exactly. I need to sign up for that actually. I think the deadline is next week. Gotta get this done. Another
Right.
thing I strongly recommend to everybody who listens
Yes,
to this, actually. It's a good
absolutely.
way of getting practice.
Yep.
Oh, that's a good
Great
shout.
opponents, great community there. Yeah, I've always had a good experience. So
People are helpful. Yes. Give you pointers. It's just very nice. Yeah.
it's good. Well, cool. Well, thanks again, Gerard. And we'll catch you next time.
Thank you very much. Anytime.
Thanks, Gerard.
All right, we'll take a break, and when we come back, I think we're going to talk about Nova.
And we're back. And now the moment we've all been waiting for. For 2.5 years, we have not registered for the Nova Open. But that is no more. We are registered and ready to go. Wow. To think that this is what the Nova started this whole thing. And here we are going back. And I couldn't be more excited, Jared.
Dude, I'm so excited. Like
People,
Yeah.
people.
people, gaming community, charity lounge.
Yeah, the lounge. Ooh.
Oh, damn double Jackson Cokes
Ladies, we coming to see you.
us.
We coming to see you.
With our mugs, we are ready for our double Jackson Cokes.
But yeah, like it sparked. So, before we get into the process, what we picked, all that stuff, but it has sparked some conversations with between Discord and Instagram. Like there are some people that are really looking forward to seeing it out there and haven't really talked to in some time. So
yeah, So we have a pretty small Instagram following, but it's there. I think a lot of it. I think we have to say thanks to Trace. I think early on he was posting a lot of really well painted models.
Yes.
That kind of kicked some things off, and then I've been doing work lately to get to paint models, and then it's a venue for me to post them just for fun. But there's one Instagram user, Warhammer OK, who has followed us for a long time and was ready, set, go to meet us at Nova 2020. We were going to meet up with him, grab a beer with this guy. Never met him before in person ever. And then that didn't happen. But he's going, and he's going with a buddy of his that's also on Instagram. And so it's just gonna be cool to meet people that we've met virtually, in the gaming community. And then I'm also excited about meeting people that we've met at Nova, seeing them again. So
seeing them again.
Yeah, John is one of the gentlemen that Trace and I got to play against in the 40K narrative the last time we were there. So he'll be back, and we're excited to see him.
Yeah.
And then just meet people and play in events, and
it'll be we've been local for because we don't. Even in a normal year, we don't travel. The talking heads on this podcast don't travel for games. We don't have the ability to travel for games as much as we pine for them. We don't. So we've played for the last 2.5 years. We've played all local events, all local shops, and really it's only been in the last 6 months. And now we get to go to this large con, at least register for this large con, where there's going to be hundreds of people. We're going to see, the last time, Jared, we went to this event, one of us walked away going, MCP will be the game that I play.
That's right.
MCP is because of Nova.
That's true. Yeah.
So it's going to be really, really cool. But with any registration for a large con, there's always the day of launch. And I wish Danny was here because he would have great insight. But Nova threw us a curveball this year. They went to a different web cart service.
Yeah, so I think historically they had used their own, and I
Mhm.
think that served them well enough. But I think the 10th anniversary, the 2019 registration, that broke. I think it was 20 minutes after go time before any of us got registered. And then, so I think that they adopted this new system, and I think that it's a system that is being used by other conventions, but I don't know if the other conventions that have used it are as large, or if it just happened to be like a software bug that just happened to hit on a Saturday. Speaking from the software industry, like generally you don't introduce changes over the weekend because you don't have staff usually. Like you throw out your big stuff, your big updates on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday. So maybe they introduced something like Friday night and they didn't realize that it broke something until Saturday. I don't know. I'm literally just talking out of my butt right now. But it definitely there was some breakage and some not being able to buy badges for like 25 minutes. Badges?
I don't need to show you my stinking badges.
We don't need those stinking badges. But we did ultimately get registered.
Yeah, and I will say once whoever clicked the button to enable the badges, it was really quick at that point.
Yes.
But it was really frustrating. Like we're all getting the errors that everyone gets. But more importantly, like you could see all the tickets, but you couldn't select the tickets because you did not have a badge in your web cart, and the badges were like not turned on. It was like this is the registration is closed, and it's like, no, it's not. Darn it, it is open as of 20 minutes ago. It's open. So, and Danny got kind of frustrated with the new system. It was a little funny and a little bit just normal con registration.
Yeah.
And like I think the only other thing that I would say is like seems like the schedule came out. I felt like we were sitting there texting each other back and forth, like all the events kind of got posted. I should say all. Some of them were posted just like the last morning. So it was like, oh, and do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? What about this over here? But something really cool that we did book came out of the last minute postings.
Yeah, it did.
And that's right. The highlight of this event for Nova, the Battle Mallet podcast. All 4 players will be playing together in Kill Team Live, Laser Tag Open, 4v4 12-team man tournament.
Let's go.
I don't know if the laser pack will fit over my bulbous body, but it's going to be fun.
Yeah. We'll make it fit. What duct tape is for.
That's it. I'm bringing duct tape. It better be camouflaged so they can't see me.
That's right. So
that's really cool. That is something that we got signed up to, and it's Friday night for us. I mean, it's going to be fun. It starts at like 8:00 at night. It's going to be 3.5 hours.
You're going to find me asleep like in the corner somewhere during the last round, but I'll win. We'll win because nobody can find me to take me out before time goes down. It'll be great.
It'll be fun, and I'll try not to bring a real chopper.
Yeah, don't do that.
So what else? Like we kind of ran into just not server problems, but scheduling choices.
Yeah.
So for specifically you and I, this is the first time ever that Underworlds is not at night.
It's true. Yeah. And so I mean, I guess we can just kind of run through it, right? So we most of us will get there Wednesday night.
Yeah.
We'll go to the GW preview. Hopefully we will hang out in the lounge, but not right up until the preview like we did last time. Maybe we'll get downstairs a little before 7:00.
Yeah, well, there's 350 people at the preview. At least that's how many tickets are sold.
Well, that's how many people were sold. That's how many people were at it last time. I think that the gaming community being what the gaming community is, I don't think any of us really still like to sit in the front row of anything. And so that's why we were still like able to get like on the third row. Okay. Yeah. So, but yeah, so you, Trace, and I will be at the GW preview.
Mm-hmm.
And then Thursday, Trace and I are going to play in the Age of Sigmar doubles. So we'll rehash that. So, and that's always it's a good time. It's a good way, I think, for me to open the weekend, because I don't feel pressure in that event, because I'm not a cutthroat Age of Sigmar player. So it's just a good opportunity for Trace and I to hang out and meet other people and play a game and roll some dice and hopefully do like the one thing that we want, that the doubles list that we build is designed to do. And
Yeah.
we can just do that once. But like I was talking to Trace about it earlier, like if we go 0-3, like it's not going to bother me at all. Like not even remotely. And I think for me, like that's really nice, because Friday.
Well, before you get that, like,
Okay.
I like for the AOS doubles, I'm very happy that you guys were able to work that out, because there was some debate on what we do play, what we don't play. I would have jumped in need be to play AOS doubles, but I think it's well known, like AOS is not my game. Like I play it only because you and Trace like the game.
Sure.
So I'm glad that both you and him worked out schedules and were able to get in, and I truly am, like, I really do want to help with the hobby project. That's something that kind of like has come up a couple of times for me. Like I need kind of a reason to paint and do that type of stuff. So I would like to be included, because it also is probably the one point of Nova that I feel disconnected with everybody. Right.
Yeah.
It's just like, because Danny's not there yet. And so I'm just kind of like off doing my own thing. And my number one way to play any tabletop game is doubles. And unfortunately, like the event that we go to does not have, like, this is one of, I think, 2 doubles events.
Yeah.
Because we used to sign up for the narrative just to play the doubles 40K.
Correct.
It's just the way that I like to play my game. So I'm happy for you guys, happy to pitch in and help. But I am a little envious. And while you guys are off doing that, I'm going to have my go at a casual Kill Team pod on Thursday.
I like it.
We'll see. We'll see how that goes. For the listeners, I want to say they break us down in pods of 8, and it's like a 3-round thing, and it's supposed to be quick and painless. I could be wrong. It could be more rounds, but you definitely get broken down into pods, so you're not playing all 64 people that have registered.
Yeah.
And whatever, like I'll probably get smoked off the table because I understand Kill Team like nothing, but it's something to do, and I'm looking forward to it. So
yeah, four round 16-player pods.
There we go. 4 rounds. 4 rounds.
4 rounds of Kill Team.
Playing the Chaos Space Marines.
That'll be more rounds of Kill Team than Trace and I will get of Age of Sigmar.
Yes. And it'll be the first time I've ever played a Chaos faction in 40K, so it'll be great.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what I'm taking yet. So it's right now it's between the Vitiates and the Chaos Legionnaires, but
yeah,
we'll see how it all works out. Then Thursday night, nothing. There's nothing.
And this is actually one of the things that I'm genuinely excited about, because we don't have 2 rounds of Warhammer Underworlds to play that night. We can actually eat dinner at like a normal time on Thursday night.
See,
not
I
at like
I don't like that.
Not at like 10:30 at night.
So just so everyone's aware, when Kill Team is over, I will go to dinner if that's what everybody wants to do. But I'm going to be pressing to play games every waking moment until my brain does not work anymore. Because that is one thing with the schedule that I understand, that from the social aspect, from like getting to like eat and do all that other stuff, playing Underworlds at night was a stretch. But the one thing, when I walked away from Nova every year that we've gone, that Monday, there's at least 5 minutes that I don't want to play another game. At least 5.
Nice.
Which is rare for me.
Yeah.
It's rare. So That is like, I like the jam-pack schedule, but also too, like I will say when we jam-pack the schedule, I normally do drop an event. So
Right.
we'll see how it goes. And you guys I'm still debating whether to host an event of my own that night. So we'll see.
Okay.
But then Friday, we kick it off, and this is where the championship begins.
Friday. There it starts. Warhammer Underworlds Grand Clash.
Though, as of this recording, there's only 10 registered people. But hey, sign up now. It's a
That's
long
right.
burn. I'd like to hit 25 or 30.
Yeah.
But if 12 show up, if 16 shows up, as long as everyone shows up, I'm ready to go. Like I have not been in an Underworlds tournament in years.
Literally years. Yep.
Hot take initial. What are you thinking? What are you going to do? You take vampires to the Grand Clash?
I don't know, man.
I know that there's a lot of cards and a lot of warbands that'll probably come out before then, but you know.
I don't know. It's probably just going to be Yulthari's Guardians.
Do it.
Just revamp Nova 2019.
There you go. Just take the same deck, actually.
Yeah, the one that's not even remotely legal anymore because those cards have rotated out.
Well, we'll have fun. I think Danny signed up for some board games on Friday.
I think so.
I'm not certain what game.
Some learn to play stuff.
Yeah, so I think Danny about be partaking in that. And do we know what Trace is doing yet?
I don't think we do. I think he was looking at maybe some painting seminars, or he had said something about maybe BattleTech. I don't know.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I mean, he'll get to maybe get the chance to dip his toe into something new or something different.
Or maybe we'll just get him to sign up for the Grand Clash.
Maybe we'll get him to sign up for the Grand Clash. That'd be sweet.
And then we're going to have to eat dinner fast, and it'll have to be light because then we have the kill team thing as we talked about. Yeah. And then Saturday, this is where it really changes for us because I never thought we'd be here. Nope. All four of us have signed up for Battle World Tournament, which is MCP, the actual GT part. This is Heat 2.
Yep.
Now, hopefully I can't make it. Hopefully this is the event that I drop.
Hopefully, I mean, I'm speaking the same. Hopefully I won't make it either because we make the cut off of day one for the Underworlds tournament.
So if there's any MCP players out there that didn't get a ticket, show up Saturday morning and just, hope that I'm still playing Underworlds and then you can fill in my spot.
Yep.
But if not, this is and the reason that it's shocking is I never thought that we would take the step in MCP. This was always supposed to be our casual event or a casual game. We just hey, you want to play 15 power level? Let's randomly select these cards and I'm playing X-Men, you're playing mutants, let's go.
Yeah.
And now, as you allude to in the intro, that's not the case.
Yeah, it's not. And I think what I like about it is that we're back to, for the time being at least, having a game where all four of us are in. Where all four of us are in on the same game. Because, with Underworlds, Danny understandably dropped off. Just the game did not scratch his itch. And so then there were three. And then Trace has dropped off for Underworlds because it no longer scratches the itch. And so then there were two for Underworlds. But, you, me, and Trace were still kind of playing 40K, but Danny wasn't really into it anymore. And then Trace and I were playing Age of Sigmar, but neither you nor Danny were into it. And then you were in Age of Sigmar, but really only to get games in. So, yeah, it's nice to know that there is a game that is out there that, if we wanted to take a whole Saturday, the four of us could do a round robin setup where we do it and it is played with the intention of being competitive while we play.
Yeah. Yeah, I really wish I'd be even more excited if this was MCP doubles, because that would be woo.
Or if I think the thing that would really sell you is if it was an MCP like crisis events.
Yeah, but
Event.
that leads us to Sunday, because I think that's what Sunday is going to be.
Yeah, I hope so.
And that's, so we all play in the tournament, and I'm sure out of if all four of us play, I'm hopeful that one of us makes the cut, because it's the top 4.
I don't know.
I don't know. Well, whatever.
Hold on.
We've really prepped, and I'm
The top
really
4,
committed.
Yeah, the top 4 placings.
So the top from each heat. So if you get in the top 4, you make it to Sunday, which is the final. The top 8, great. Maybe one of us will make it. Maybe not. Who cares? Because I'm signed up on Sunday, as we all are signed up on Sunday, for MCP Danger Room Casual event. And that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping we can go there, and I hope that we can both be on the same team, and we can go beat up an Ultron, or we can go beat up a Dormammu. Like,
yes,
I would love for those things, that to be what the event is.
Yep. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, absolutely. I would be super stoked for that.
Yeah, MCP has definitely got the band back together, so
yeah,
it's kind of exciting. Although, let's not turn it up to 11 yet, gentlemen. Let's just keep it at an 8.
An 8? Do an 8?
Yeah, just an 8. I understand that this amp goes to 11, so it's louder, but I would like to keep it at an 8.
Okay. We can do that. Well, I'm going to be forced to keep it at an 8. We talked about this before. In playing and getting ready for my game, I'm scrolling through the Cerebro MCP or whatever it is. Basically, everything will always be the Underworlds DB of whatever game it is. This is the online resource for building a roster, whatever, for MCP. And there are a lot of extraction and secure cards that I don't have, and there are a ton of tactics cards that I don't have. And did you know that there are restricted cards in this game, Jason?
I knew that there was one, but I didn't know there was more than one. So.
There's more than one, and they are highlighted in yellow on this thing. And I'm like, oh, that would be a cool card to have. I don't own that box. I'm not going to buy that box. So, I think for me, it will probably stay at an 8. I don't know that it will ever go to an 11.
Yeah.
Because I bought the core box, and I literally did not buy any other miniatures in any of the releases until they released Mutants. So, I don't have Conda, I don't have any of the additional Cabal, any of the additional Criminal Syndicate, I don't have any of the extra Avengers. I don't have any of it. I don't have any of the extra Spider-Man, Spider-Foes.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I would agree that because you're not going to buy everything, you probably stay at an 8. And I do have a lot more than most. But lately I've fallen off. I didn't get the Inhumans. I haven't bought the new X-Men. I did buy Juggernaut because it's the Juggernaut.
Yeah.
But you've taught me that, right? Slow down. It's not FOMO. Just
don't
wait.
Need it.
Don't need it. I don't play with what I have. So it is what it is. So maybe it does stay an 8. I don't want it to go to 11. But if it does, it does. I'm there. I'm ready for the arms race. It's good.
Yeah. But it has been fun to have let's just get together and let's take 3 hours to play a game and not care that it's taking 3 hours to play the game because we're having fun the whole time.
Yeah, I think one of the refreshing things for me is not knowing. So even the game that we played, and then I didn't mention in the hobby, I last week I got to play with Danny, so I got 2 games of MCP in as well. So
nice.
I played Shocker Avengers, but I brought Thor, which I haven't brought Thor since the first time I played that game, which was cool. and he played Black Order. It went really well for the Avengers. Black Order, I think, is going to take Danny some time to figure out how to play with just 4 models.
Yeah.
But anyway, like, the games take longer because I'm figuring it out. Like, unlike when we would play 40K or unlike when we play Underworlds, I know what the synergies are in my deck. I know what the synergies are when we were playing 40K.
Yeah.
Like, MCP, I have stopped. Like, I don't even read the cards when they're posted on the website. Like, I'm really cool that Nick Fury's come out. I know that he gets some sort of like shield agent figure, but I have not read the card because I don't want my brain to go there.
Yeah.
Like, I'm super excited for the new Daredevil because Daredevil, I like that. And I'm excited for the new Daredevil because I never knew there was a bad Daredevil, like the Shadow War or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, I'm super excited for that. But he also has ninjas, and I have like, okay, what are ninjas? I don't know.
Yeah.
When I see the cards, I look at the threat level. I'm like, is it 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? That tells me if they're good or not. That's where I stop.
There you go.
But it's all like, to your point, you texted that earlier, that like that is the group game, and it's excited to try to get the band back together. More excited that at least for Sunday, 100% of us will be in the same room playing the same game. So
yeah. And actually, I think that will be. Well, I mean, yeah, since we're not doing the 40K narrative,
yes,
that's going to be like the only opportunity for that to happen.
Yeah. So in the previous years we've played the 40K narrative where Danny and I at least were playing the same game, and then you and Trace would jump in for a game or two.
Yep.
So it'll be cool. And, if the organizers are listening, like, I'd love to see those crisis events or some sort of doubles event. Give me something.
No. Let me sit next to my buddy while I play.
Yeah. Not across the table. I don't want to beat up the same guy I've been beating up for 2 years. So,
yeah. Right.
The last comment that we'll make about Nova, like, we talked about the lounge a little bit, talked about our free time in the evenings. So both like Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, like, we are the first time we've ever had like a full evening of nothing planned out. But the event is going to be a little bit strange because normally in between our other events, like, for example, when we're like, I'm at lunch on Kill Team, I would normally run down and watch your game or go to lunch with you guys. Now the event is spread across 2 hotels.
Yeah.
And I know that the Age of Sigmar stuff, all of it is in the new hotel, which is across the street. But having been there, that hotel is not across the street. It's like about a block away. So it's an easy walk.
Sure.
But it is a block away.
Yep.
So how do you think that plays into it all?
I mean, I think it's going to create a more disjointed experience for groups that are traveling together that are playing separate games. But I mean, I think it helps. Like, I think about the people that I see that play the Age of Sigmar narrative. Like, those players are all in.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand why, because the team that runs it, like, they do a great job. Like, I read the primer out of curiosity. And if you're playing in the Age of Sigmar narrative, you get to, like, you can bring your own monster. It is encouraged for you to kit bash some monster that ties into your faction in some way. And it can be as large as a Mega Gargant. And then during the event, because it's placed in the realm of Gur, it is going to be your army's beast, and that beast is going to change and evolve throughout the weekend based on how it performs in missions and things. And so, like, the people that play the Age of Sigmar narrative, like, that's their whole Nova experience. And so for that to be in one place and them to not have to work around and walk around and go through the floors that are hosting the 40K events, I think is pretty cool. And the same thing can be said for the 40K players that are all in on 40K for the whole week, that they have like a dedicated space. Like, I think that's really cool. And it is going to provide probably like a better, cleaner experience for those players. I think where you run into problems was where you have somebody that's going to play the Age of Sigmar doubles and then Warhammer Underworlds and then MCP. or Kill Team, and then Warhammer Underworlds, and then MCP. So I think it has pluses for some attendees, and I think it's going to have minuses for the other attendees. And I just feel really bad for anyone whose hotel room is in the other hotel and not in the Regency where the lounge is. So
yeah. So I mean, for us, like, not only was the whatever it is, the Crystal Renaissance Crystal, I think it's called, or something like that.
Yeah.
The main hotel that we've been at for previous years, not only was the room rate cheaper, right?
Yes.
So it was like $25 cheaper. For us, it's a 4-night stay.
Yep.
Right? 1, 2, 3, 4 nights. Yeah, 4-night stay. So that's $100. So right there, it kind of like made my decision for me. But the kicker is, at night we're going to the lounge, and I don't want to have to walk down the street.
Nope.
So,
I was trying to figure out what hotel it was.
yeah, they're both good, but like, yeah, the other hotel, they have some sort of food venue.
Yeah,
set
I think
up
they're
in.
gonna have like a dedicated food court kind of thing, which will be nice.
Will be cool.
So
yeah, I mean, it's a long way out. Like, we're still 5 months away, like just about 5 months.
Yeah, but that's gonna fly by, man. It's gonna go so fast.
It is, but it isn't.
I don't know. I feel like if the past 2.5 years have been any indication of how I perceive time, I think it's just gonna. I think we're gonna sail right into it.
Yeah. Yeah, you're probably right.
I'm okay with.
I am, but I just want to play a lot of games. I want Nauticons every month, Jared.
I mean, I think I have enough leave to do that. I think I could take one Friday off every month.
I don't. I probably do, but I think that would be frowned upon in this establishment from management.
I think that we are no longer balancing life and games at that point. I think the scales have fully tipped if we start trying to play that game.
Fully tipped, yeah. I guess this would be the great point to give a big shout out to my wife and my in-laws that make it possible for me even to pie in the sky and schedule the Nova trip. So balancing life in those games wholeheartedly comes down to Sarah takes a beach trip with my in-laws during that weekend to lighten the load of having to wrangle 2 children while I am gone for 5 days.
Yeah.
So thank you to them.
Yeah.
Not that
and I mean, I'm literally going to echo that. Although my family doesn't take a beach trip, my in-laws are heavily involved in my children's lives and are super helpful, especially on that weekend. And with the fact that the world is opening back up and I will start traveling for work again, it is just I cannot thank Daniela enough for providing the means for me to be able to do trips like this.
Yeah. Well, good. Oh, great. You're traveling more. Awesome. That means Friday lunch buyers are going to be impacted.
Yeah. Sorry, buddy. It's okay. We'll do like a Tuesday lunch buyer or something. It'll be fine.
Oh, it's the same thing with my work too. Like, I have rides this week and rides in 2 weeks. Like, everyone's coming out and getting back out there, which is a great thing because it's because of that we're able to do these things, and more importantly, it's because of that setting that we're allowed to have huge hundreds of people cons, which we all need. Well, that's the excitement around Nova. That's the schedule that the Battle Mallet podcast has come up with for all of our talking heads and co-hosts. Can't wait to get some practice games in, work on some hobby with the team, and just keep forging this road to Nova. So with that, we'll take a break and we'll come out for the outro, or come back for the outro. Come out for the outro, whatever. It's fine.
And we're back, and that rounds us out. This has been episode 36, Secondary Objectives, Adepticon, Nova, and more. I do want to say thanks again to Gerard Padro for opening some time in his schedule. The professor, for anyone that knows him on Discord or part of the remote Underworlds gaming community. It was really cool to talk to him and hear his thoughts on the current Underworlds meta, his experience at Adepticon, and he is also looking forward to Nova, so we'll see him there. As I mentioned in that segment, there will be a link to the Set the Tempo blog, where Graham wrote an article about the professor's deck. So you can get kind of a more in-depth competitive analysis of that deck there. So check out the Set the Tempo blog, of course. And then, so I guess, we're looking forward to Nova, looking forward to getting prep games in the meantime. Tons of releases between now and then. Have there been any like big teasers from Atomic Mass Games as far as upcoming releases? I don't think so.
I'm aware of.
I don't think that.
No, I mean the only like the card update, right? So like the card update's out there, but it'd be real nice to get those cards. But I haven't seen any
like a wave release.
Not for MCP. They just announced a whole bunch of Legion stuff.
Yeah. So they're managing multiple games. I don't fault them. Production issues being what they are and all that stuff. Speaking of production issues, so this didn't come up, but in theory,
if you're gonna mention your terrain again, I'm literally just gonna sign out now.
My Monster Wargaming Metropolis terrain should start shipping out this month. What the email said, but
listen,
it's not going to.
I'm going to be sitting at Emma's graduation from high school, and you're going to be like, "Oh, Jason,
I got another email.
I got an email for this terrain. I can't wait to get it." And we're going to be playing like 60 millimeter scale. It's going to be like, Jared, like the terrain doesn't fit anymore. Oh, but it's going to come this month.
It'll be awesome.
No, get out of here. It's not coming. It's not happening.
It'll never. I just throw that money away. Just pretend like it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. Like literally, you'd just be better off like going to your mailbox and one day being like, "Holy crap! Like look what came in."
You're right. I should block that email and just pretend like I didn't order it.
I don't. I mean, I got a Kickstarter. Yeah, I got a Kickstarter that it's not past due yet. It ships, I think, this year, but I don't even open them. Like I signed up, I did all the pledge manager, I did everything. They send us an update every month, like clockwork. It's a great company. One day it's just going to show up. No idea. Just going to be there.
Maybe that's a better idea. Better attitude. Life lessons from Jason.
Around Kickstarter? Because remember when I pre-ordered that Aliens game that I never played and it took 5 years to get it?
I do remember that.
So crazy.
Good times. Oh, yeah. Nice. So Nova. That's going to happen.
Nova. You can bring a train to Nova.
Yeah, there we go. Well, it supposedly packs flat. So,
there we go.
In 30 years when I finally get it. Yeah, so I guess this is it, right? Nothing else? Any closing remarks? Closing thoughts?
Nope.
Cool. Well, for the Battle Mallet podcast, we are just two dads.
Hanging out.
Talking about games. This is Jared signing out.
And I'm Jason Table Move Murray. Get the hell out of here.
Peace.
The Battle Mallet podcast is protected under the Creative Commons license. If you have further questions as to its use, you can find more information via links on podcast.battle-mallet.com. Music by Anno Domini Beats.
Just don't ask questions, Danielle. Just don't ask questions.